And now, our feature presentation.
Hey guys, I'm Scarfy.
I'm Naka.
And I'm Krüz.
And welcome to Subwoofer Entertainment, a determinedly drunk, geeky, and cheerful podcast where wolves we house and train, we entertain, bringing you all latest entertainment news. Sets a lot of community appreciation class talk about what's going on certain topics and see how people react to them in certain ways. Set has been brought to you by Streamlabs. We are a non-profit podcast, but we use this as our go-to for making more episodes and helping me bigger and better than ever before by purchasing equipment or other visual means. Please don't feel obligated. We are not asking for money to pay the rent, but if you have the heart to donate, it is greatly appreciated. So the reason why I'm going a little bit fast today is because we have a very, very packed episode. Very, very packed, in fact. But before we begin, I just have a couple things I want to say. So has anyone been watching the new Animaniacs TV show that just debuted?
I haven't yet.
It's really good.
I've seen one thing out of that so far, and it's great, and I posted it in our little Discord production chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you check the Discord production chat.
Oh. Yeah, that's hilarious. I can't wait till you see it. It's so good. It has the same charm as the original show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not going to be football noises tonight, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good at least. And then I don't know about you guys, but I've actually been taking the time to watch the Mandalorian. I'm near up to date with it. It's a really good show. If you guys happen to have Disney Plus, I know that Naka has it, but I don't know if he'll ever watch it. But hey, it's there if you guys want to watch it. So
I might have to get to. So I got my friend generously loaned me his Disney account, and because it tried to do a stream for Discord, where you stream your screen, but apparently we found out Disney doesn't like that very much, so it just made a black screen, so we just decided to watch. We watched the Clone Wars.
Disney Plus is a little dumb like that. They want.
So if you wanted to try that, I'll just warn you in advance, it doesn't work.
I mean, unless you use VLC Media Player and do some yar har fiddle dee shit. Trying to get the Mandalorian. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Mandalorian, it's a really good show. I do have to mention, I'm pretty sure most of you already figured this out. It's a show that updates once a week, similar to how most TV shows update. So it's not like Netflix where it just gives you the entire season all at once for binge watching. So they do this because they want to squeeze the most money out that they can for you. But you know how it works.
Why is my mic icon a lemon? Don't worry.
Anything
I don't know
interesting
what
you want?
it is, but it looks like
Anything
lemon.
interesting you want to say, Naka, or not really?
Explain the lemon.
I mean, I got my Stadia the other day, but I don't have enough notes to talk about it. But I'll get into that later.
All right. Well,
we have a show.
Why don't we? Yes, we do, and we have a big show. So before we begin, I just have one more thing that we need to talk about. For those of you who don't know, this is going to be a double show, which means that on the 29th, that is Thanksgiving weekend, we are not going to be having a stream because we are going to be taking a break. Hey, we've gone this long without a break, so I think it's safe to say that we all need one. Okay. All right. Now, with that out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and start with Krüz with music. Krüz, go.
Okay. Well, let's get the shit out of the way. Miley Cyrus, plastic cards. Let me just full disclosure. I really, really try to make sure I at least listen to at least snippets of everything that is on my part of the agenda. I just said no. I'm not doing it. No. You cannot make me. Fuck Miley Cyrus. Fuck pop. Anyway, this real album, because the whole talk of the Metallica thing that may or may not happen.
I'm still waiting for that, by the way.
And or may or may not. Well, speaking of Metallica, something actually awesome happened earlier today. Morten Muller, or known as Blog Studios, YouTube, premiered his Meshuggah cover version of Fade to Black. He's working on. He did the entirety of Kill 'Em All, and now he's working on the rest of Ride the Lightning. So it kind of quote Meshuggifies the original songs, and it's really cool how he just like remixes them, but also keeps it loyal to the original. And the sound of Meshuggah, if you don't know, Meshuggah is a very, very heavy metal band that plays with, I think, at least 8 strings down a half step. So that's cool. I recommend you check his channel out. Show some love to him and his faces. He looks exactly like the singer for Meshuggah also, which is kind of funny. So yeah, Bog Studios, Morten Muller. Go check him out if you are interested in like Metallica covers and stuff. So for Miley Cyrus, the thing, there's Prisoner and Midnight Sky. I think I linked Prisoner. I'm not really sure. I don't really care. It's out November 27th.
Miley Cyrus just confuses me.
I mean, at least, she's embraced who she always was meant to be, with, we can't...
bullcrap.
Right, we can't stop, and also, we came in like a wrecking ball. But, the chat roulette version of Wrecking Ball is always going to be funny to me. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it's funny to me. I
think it really all started when you had Can't Be Tamed, because it was kind of unclear that she was actually going in that direction of like Kesha-ish, like, I don't know.
A lot of people say that this is like a departure from, her Hannah Montana bullcrap, but at the same time,
I think she's tried to make it clear that persona is long dead.
Yeah, so. And I'm pretty sure Miley Cyrus, whether you like her or hate her, at least she knows the ins and outs of making an album. It's just not music that I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd much rather listen to Lady Gaga than listen to her, but other than that,
for me.
Yeah. Other than that,
Let's move on.
Apparently, according to Krüz, the bullshit doesn't end here, does it?
Now here's the thing. I don't hate this next person. This is Shawn Mendes. I don't hate like these kind of artists outright, but I do think that pretty much all of them are overrated, overhyped. Like, I mean, Sam Smith might be a little bit of an exception just because he's like has more of a, I don't know. There's more character behind him. He's not just a name, a name and a face. Like, there's more. Some of this is just like, what is this? It's like cringy, like Jason Derulo, whatever. All that stuff, it's like, I get that. I think the thing is that the audience, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's almost entirely female. Like these kinds of artists really appeal to the probably a lot of their fans are women, and it just, as a guy, I'm like, I see it, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see like this is the spiritual successor and or bastard child of the boy band effect, which is a boy band is the kind of the thing that was like meant to attract the attention of female fans. But it's just overrated, overhyped, dull, unimpressive. Though I will say the video was kind of cool for its references. This was the video for Wonder. But including Harry Potter and other I don't know, current media, whatever you want to call it. But I did see that his other song, Monster, features Justin Bieber, and so that's 20 points from Gryffindor, buddy. I hate to tell you. December 4th is when it comes out. Yeah.
This is just a lot of stale bread to me.
Stale bread.
It's stale bread.
So I will give it credit. The music video is a very nice looking music video. I'll give it that.
But the music, the audio, stale bread.
The multiple audios.
Nothing bad, but nothing too extraordinary either. I wish there was more to talk about with Shawn Mendes, but hey.
Well, that's what happens when you're talking about stale bread. Not a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah,
apparently so.
That's the thing. It's the other thing that Naka pointed out. It's like the music like this, it's just kind of there. It doesn't really do much, but it doesn't really offend. It's inoffensive, but also unimpressionable. You know what I mean?
At least not with the next. At least not with the next album. At least the next album is actively trying to be an album.
The world is a vampire. Set to drain.
Ever watch Whale Wars, buddy? Well, now that the dumpster fire portion of the music segment has passed, we can get to, well, actual music. Admittedly, I've only listened to a few of the Smashing Pumpkins songs. Bullet with Butterfly Wings, which, of course, you heard from Whale Wars. Cherub Rock and Tarantula were the other two, pretty much just from Guitar Hero. But I say with each new album, there's a renewed chance for those waiting to dive in to do so. A few songs are available. I couldn't track all of them down. I know there's a list, but I was just like, my brain is dead. But I did link the title track, Seer, I assume is how you're supposed to pronounce it. It doesn't sound quite like the older Smashing Pumpkins that I heard, but I imagine, kind of trying to update, sound more, I don't know. It's dangerously close to Maroon 5 territory, but it's not quite that. It's flirting with it, but it's not quite, crossing the line. What I mean is that there's less guitar, there's more synth and focus on vocals and stuff, but it is still Smashing Pumpkins. So I'm like, yeah, they can do what they want. It's not quite the same departure from their original sound as Fall Out Boy, or as I call them, Sell Out Boy did.
Sell Out Boy.
Yeah, they sold out pretty hard. Like Century. It's like this. What? Remember where you came from, damn it. Yes, a few songs off of Sierra are available, and including the title track, which is a video, which is very deliberately weirdly edited. November 27th is when this comes out.
So with this one, at least it does. I like that it's like a transition between pop and heavy metal at the same time. So I like what it's trying to be, at least with this particular album. Naka, what do you think?
It's kind of got that kind of... Smashing Pumpkins has always been kind of a weird one to describe for me. Like their own style, it's a little bit hard to describe. Especially with the lead vocalist's kind of vocal style. The world is a vampire set to drain.
It kind of had that typical, I want to say, I guess, grunge, not the hardcore grunge or like kind of shit, but it has a grunge sound to his voice, but trying to use that in, I don't know, changing the music style. It can be weird, but it's not bad. I listened to most of the song because I just had to click away because I had to get to the next thing.
What, to the next thing? Is that your transition for me?
No, to the next thing that I realized I said that I was doing when I was constructing the agenda. Sorry. The thoughts.
So are we transitioning to the next piece, or are we staying on Smashing Pumpkins?
If you have anything else to say, then you can say it now.
Well, your pumpkins are probably bad by now. Or if they aren't bad yet, they're going to be bad after next week, so go ahead and smash them.
Yeah, or eat them like Sonis did.
I'm not surprised they didn't release this in October, but anyway, continue.
What, because the band is named Smashing Pumpkins?
Yes, in October.
Yeah. Maybe the album has to hit.
Let's move on to it's the opposite of Love Not Breed. I don't know.
I could hear the gears turning in your head as you started to say that. I'm like, what's he gonna go for? Love depends on what you mean by breed. I assume based on the name, assuming it means breed
species?
as in kind. Love kin. I don't know.
One of those things. Anyway, the next album, Krüz.
Yeah. Weight of the False Self by Hatebreed. Hatebreed is a band that has been in my periphery for quite a while now. I was introduced to them via Jamie Josta's collaborations with Five Finger Death Punch first, on Dot Your Eyes, and then for Body Count on I think it's Next Level or Whole New Level. It's something with level in the title is the song. He's got very like aggressive, like shouting vocal style, so it's like it fits a mood. It's kind of a mood like this and Fire and Death Punch are like bands that some people make fun of for trying to be too aggressive, but I don't buy that. I'm just like, dude, just leave people alone. You can enjoy what you like, and if you don't like it, you can fuck off. I'm just saying. So Slaughterlust, or Instinctive, in parentheses Slaughterlust, is the song that has been linked. I didn't get to listen to the other ones, but the other songs are called Let Them All Rot and Get It Right, Start With Yourself. Those are also available, and the video here was a bit weird because there was one that Overkill did with on Goddamn Trouble where it ends the same way that this one does, kind of, but the guy's spray painting, and the guys are spray painting the Overkill logo on some garage door, and then they get arrested. But this guy, it's weird as it acts like he's trying to be discreet, but then it cuts to like what do they call it, fast motion time lapse kind of footage of him spray painting the band logo, and like something spray painting the band logo and like this giant figure behind it, which the art does look very cool. I wonder if that guy's the actual artist, but yeah, and then the police car somehow finds him. It's like, who reported that? And it drives into the warehouse. Again, I don't think they would do that, but it is what it is. I liked it. I'm like, it's not something that has a huge impression on me, but it's like, yeah, I can vibe to this, I guess, because that's a term we use nowadays to just be like, yeah, I can roll with this. I'm cool with this. Probably won't get the whole album, but we'll might listen to the rest of the songs that are available now before November 27th.
Yeah, I still need to give bands like Hatebreed, where they fall on that Five Finger Death Punch kind of style. It's more the heavy rock, not or heavier metal, not necessarily the thrash metal that I kind of.
I think they call it hard.
Over.
I think what the titles they call is hardcore rock, or just hardcore simply.
Yeah.
So that's. Yeah.
And this is probably another stepping stone that I'm going to take. So, yeah.
And as I said with the last thing, every album is a new chance to get into it, which is something I'm going to do with what comes up.
Speaking of thrash metal, but first we need to let Scarfy talk about his opinions on this.
With Hatebreed, it's one of these bands where I feel like it's a huge jump in terms of. I wish that there was more for me to talk about, because I've never heard of this album before. Like, I've never heard of this band before, and I haven't heard of the next band before either. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Sadly, there's not a lot I can say. It's one of these bands where, yes, it looks great. Yes, it has a lot of good guitars and real drums. But hey, if you're into that, you're into that. It's just I wish there was more I could say for these for this album and the next one that we have to talk about. But yeah, that's really all I have to say.
Again, it's familiarity with it is own thing. There are some bands I'm not as familiar with, but yeah, it might be easier for me from listening to just a few snippets. You can kind of get a feel for what they're about from listening to a bunch of other metal bands of like, okay, more are they leaning towards melodic or speed or just pure heaviness? Are the vocals aggressive, clean, or a mix of the two? So the vocals in the next one are definitely aggressive. We have
I like how you cut out during that.
Oh yeah, Discord will cut out.
You cut out. Yeah, you cut out.
Sodom. Genesis 19. First things first, that's a pretty nice apocalyptic album cover. I almost said album cover. Cannot words. So yes, here's a band that I have been meaning to get into as a fan of thrash metal in general. The German thrash metal group Sodom will be releasing Genesis 19, which is the band's 16th studio album, on November 27th. I've listened to... What I have listened to is Creator, another German thrash metal band, and I got to see them live with Sabaton, which was a great pairing, as was Sabaton with Hammerfall, because the Sabaton and Hammerfall are both Swedish, both power metal, but Sabaton being power metal and nicknamed the Swedish War Machine, along with Creator, the German War Machine, are like, it really fits pretty well, because Creator has more recently embraced a more melodic sound. I checked back for their early stuff, and it sounds a little more like Slayer, but like later in their career, they got more melodic, which is always welcome. But Sodom is purely thrash, just raw and dirty. The production kind of does it justice, or it sounds a little like it sounds a little more old school than like, because older thrash albums, sometimes the production is a little more, or at least with Metallica especially. Yeah, and also there's like some slight bit of reverb. This isn't that, but like some of the instruments sound a little more gritty. The drums sound a little bit more raw. It's kind of nostalgic sound, but I do appreciate when bands like update production, like Testament did, among others. Having a real clean production has a more satisfying. It allows more satisfaction with the heavy riffs. For Genesis, almost said Sabaton. Fucking hell! It's time for me to give this band Sodom a turn. Linked here is a song whose title represents the band's namesake, Sodom and Gomorrah. Long like TLDR, two biblical cities associated with sin and a bunch of other things. Let's just say people wanted to hurt angels. They were hurting animals, and other things were happening, and so God was not too kind on that. And keep in mind, this is the Old Testament God. This was the one who would smite your ass. Yeah, the song was pretty good. I liked the other two also. They found were Indoctrination and Friendly Fire. I especially liked Friendly Fire. Very aggressive thrash metal, and I'm excited to hear the rest of this album, and I'm definitely gonna check out some older stuff from Sodom. Yeah, I know I'm late to the party, but I'm taking this opportunity to dive into this band, and I'm always looking to expand my thrash metal interests. Creator was the last one I think I did. Now it's this one, Sodom. Again, just looking at the album cover, it's just like, oh my god, this is, what you're getting into.
I mean, the album cover definitely looks very, very, for the most part, very, very cool. Very, 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 very metal. I mean, I have to say, like, that it looks fucking fantastic, at least for the album. I wish I could just say the same about the music, because I just can't connect to it, I don't know what it is, but hey. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about Sodom, but I am very excited for the next and final album that you have to talk about.
Hey, hold on. I didn't get to talk about it.
We're giving him his chance.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thrash metal is kind of like my bread and butter when it comes to genres of metal. So I might not be able to understand German, but it's thrash metal, so I can put that aside.
So far, on that note, they do have the songs are in English. The titles of some of the other songs in the album are in German, but I don't know if that means they sing in German or if they're a band like I think Creator sings mostly in English, and Powerwolf also, but Powerwolf does occasionally have songs in German, like Krüz, Stoschgebet, some other things. But yeah, I mean, I listen to Skalmold a lot, and I cannot understand a single thing of Icelandic because it's it's an old language, but sounds so badass when it's being growled like that. It's authentic and raw. that's just what I have to say about this album so far. It just sounds authentic, nostalgic, and raw. It's like thrash is never like people might say there have been a decline since the 80s, and while that's all pretty much well and fair, like yeah, certain bands dropped off, certain bands didn't have the success others did. Some were like kind of late bloomers, like Testament was pretty late, but they're currently one of the most successful. Overkill was a little bit. They were formed early, but they didn't release an album until 1985. They were formed in 1980. Yeah, but thrash metal is definitely alive and well, even with Slayer passing on the torch. But I would say to the people always say the big four, like, I was like, Metallica doesn't belong there. I'm like, yes, they do. As far as the other big four, Testament and Overkill definitely have to be involved. Sodom probably has their name up there. Death Angel and Exodus, like so many good thrash metal groups. And I'm interested in hearing more from each of them, and we're gonna get a chance to do that with Sodom.
Mm-hmm. But now we move on to, we're talking about this before Thanksgiving, and I don't like talking about Crimbo stuff before Thanksgiving because I feel like it's just corporations just saying, hey, ha, 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 it's Halloween's gone? Christmas. But
Halloween gone, it's Christmas.
As for this album,
this is coming out after Thanksgiving, so I'm going to give it a pass.
Yes, it is being released in December.
Wouldn't you have given this a pass anyway, considering that it's metal?
No, because I hate the idea of marketing so much Christmas before Thanksgiving, before even the week of Thanksgiving. If you market Christmas between like the minute Halloween ends and like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, why are you doing this? Oh my God, I want to gouge my eyes out with a cheese grater. Now, I'm getting mad at corporations and marketing people. I'm not getting mad at people who are choosing to celebrate Christmas as early as they want because that is their own free will. But corporations, oh my God. Anyway, let's continue with Majestica, A Crimbo Carol.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. This is not... I understand that it's hard to separate it from, like, all these other... Everyone else wants to have a Christmas album now. Whatever, all this artificial, like all the advertising and everything on Christmas and everything coming so early. But I do think that it's kind of a good time because it's going to be released at the start of December. So people are going to have the time to listen to it building up to Christmas. So let me pose a question to you. Have you ever wanted a power metal Christmas album? Yes? Well, I've brought good tidings to you all. Majestica, the power/symphonic group formed by Sabaton's own Tommy Johansson, is releasing A Christmas Carol on December 4th, which, in Tommy's words, is, quote, a silly dream of mine that has finally come true. Power metal and adjacent metals of genres of metal, god damn it, like folk, are above all having fun with music and, of course, live shows. They know how to have a good time. They know how to party.
Kyle.
Yes, goodbye, Kyle. We'll see you in the next one.
Or maybe later on in this show. We don't know.
You don't know.
You're an adult.
Streaming until Christmas. Go adult. So, as silly as this album may be, it's very cool to see Tommy continue to work on his recently formed group. They started last summer with Above the Sky. It was kind of like just Tommy's own passion project because, of course, he had been... I don't remember exactly what his career was before Sabaton, but they brought him on because he had a resume, had the chops, and I've seen him play live a few times, and he's very good alongside Chris Rowland. This, I'm like, this, I don't know if I'll buy it, but I'll definitely listen to it because aside from TSO, this is like some actual hard rock Christmas music and stuff. Tommy also has a great voice. He's a little underrated. Of course, he doesn't sing with Sabaton much. He does do like they do backing vocals and everything. Sometimes he'll sing Gott mit uns, I think. Because the thing about Gott mit uns, Carolus Rex, is that apparently it was the producer who sang it on the album recording. But that's another story for another day. Christmas Carol, again, releasing on December 4th. So, yeah, it's time to get into the holiday spirit on December 4th. When it's actually, December. I get that. I'm like, the whole thing. Once it's December, you can start talking about December.
No, I'm fine with it being after Thanksgiving for corporation-wise, but, no offense to Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but I'd like new music, like, from a different artist/group for Crimbo, and here's my answer. Here's my answer. And I'm happy.
Also, do like the album covers quite like almost Tim Burton-y, like in how it's like set up with, I believe that's supposed to be Tommy above the logo there, and you have good old, I assume, Ebenezer Scrooge there, and that would probably be right, but considering the name of the album is A Christmas Carol. Yeah, it's just it's kind of like, not all metal. This is another point, that not all metal has to be so serious and aggressive. Like, the point of metal is just to have fun with it and to enjoy that same kind of spirit and everything. Like, it brings people together.
So I was just gonna say,
this is what I mean with like power and folk metal. Like, they know how to. They won't take themselves too seriously, and they'll have fun with it. So yeah, I'm gonna listen to this when it comes out. I don't know if I'll buy it for myself because I don't really buy Christmas music, but it is what it is.
So I'm just gonna say this right now. This particular album reminds me a lot about Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which I believe you did see, Krüz. I'm not too sure if you did, but
my parents went to the show. I think I was living in Worcester at the time when they went and saw them, so I was not in state, unfortunately.
But I heard it's a very, very good experience if you ever get the chance to take a look at it. But hey, not much else for me to say regarding this particular album. I'm much more and I'm actually glad that it is being made and that it is metal and Christmas. It's so interesting, that combination where you can get interesting results, and I think this album is going to do very well when it releases on December. And hell, it's coming after Thanksgiving is over, so at least we have that.
Thank you, album company.
Anyway,
yeah, I'm also just happy to see that it's if you don't know, Tommy is one of the guitar players. They have two lead guitarists, him and Chris Royland. They and other bands have been doing we call them side projects. Seems a little diminutive, but it's like kind of their own personal projects. Like we talked about Love and Death with Brian from Korn and James from Breaking Benjamin. Like this is a time where like this stuff is kind of seeing a trend, or it's kind of being revived, which is really cool to see. We also, of course, got BPMD, the supergroup, a few months ago. But enough dilly-dallying for Christmas stuff. We're going to talk about video games now.
All right. But before we do, I have a couple of things. Lovely listener Seawolf14, whom I am plugging his Twitter, over the past couple of months has become a local short track race car driver at his local track. I believe it's in Michigan, driving a Chevy Cavalier on dirt, and it is currently the off season, but check out his Twitter for more. Like I said, it's the off season, so there's a lot of plans coming for 2021. I forgot to mention this after so this is Formula One news real quick. Congratulations to Lewis Hamilton after winning his 10th race of the season at Turkey, with 3 races left to go in the Formula One season, for tying Michael Schumacher, who has been fighting in and out of hospital for several years after a horrific skiing accident. And slowly but surely he's getting better, and we're all pulling for you. But Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher are now tied for 7 world championships in Formula One. And a quick NASCAR note. This is about the Truck Series schedule, recently released. The Truck Series will be having 2 dirt track events, one being the Bristol Dirt Race in the spring with the Cup Series, and then the July 4th weekend race. That is going to be at Knoxville Raceway in Knoxville, Iowa, home of the Knoxville Nationals at the Sprint Car Capital of the World next year in 2021. And I did announce a couple weeks ago and last week that I am getting a Google Stadia. I got that on Friday. I'm still doing some stuff with it. I don't have enough to do like a full review on it yet. But I'll get back to you next show with more. Now, let us quickly talk about the 2020 Game Awards, specifically only the Game of the Year nominations, and a quick side note about Best Racing / Sports Game, because if FIFA 21 or NBA 2K21 win the Best Racing / Sports Game award over Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remake, Dirt 5 or F1 2020, I will have 0% faith in any video game journalist ever. Because
just as long as it's not the awards.
if they get those if FIFA or NBA 2K get the Best Racing / Sports Game award, I have no faith in humanity. I don't have any as it is, but I'm going to have even less. But I don't have time to talk about every nominee. That's what this link is for. By the way, Scott the Wash should have been nominated for Content Creator of the Year, but who am I to judge? Your nominees for Game of the Year for 2020 are Doom Eternal, Hades, The Last of Us Part 2, which, it's a very good technical masterpiece, and the voice acting is fucking phenomenal, but the writing and gameplay, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Ghost of Tsushima, which is my pick because I know people who worked on the game.
So believe it or not, I actually did pick Ghost of Tsushima as the nominee for Game of the Year awards. I don't know how much of the general public has in terms of influence as to what they think is the best game of the category, but I will say I don't want The Last of Us Part 2 winning, and if it does, I'm going to be super pissed off because it's literally Oscar bait in video game form. That is literally what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a good summary. Though it is nice that ever since release date, Doom and Animal Crossing have been relatively inseparable with I don't know, been pretty friendly to each other, and I love that the Doom Twitter account is asking for an announcement or something. It's like, will Isabel be there? But it's nice that Animal Crossing and Doom are right next to each other. I know it's probably arbitrary listing, but I think if one or the other wins, the others social media or whatever will congratulate the others, and it would just be a really cool moment, And I haven't seen any gameplay of Tsushima, but I did see that some other YouTubers picked it up, and it's I don't know if it's something like anything like Sekiro, which I've watched a lot of from RPG, but Final Fantasy remake, sure, don't have much behind that. Last of Us, yeah, it is pretty much an Oscar bait game, but I'm hoping that either Doom or Animal Crossing could win, just to have that cool moment, of congratulating each other.
And Ghost of Tsushima, they've been doing some really, really good updates. Free multiplayer update, no microtransactions, none of the other bullshit that other games have, all for free. Because I believe the studio worked on it it's either Insomniac or Sucker Punch, but they care so much about the product and they care so much about the fans that they're not gonna pull corporate bullshit.
Also, just to add to The Last of Us Part 2, if it also wins Best Narrative or Best Game Direction, I'm going to be even more pissed off if it wins that. But yeah, I heard that Ghost of Tsushima is a very, very good game. I actually had some friends who played it. and of course you can pet the fox, which is actually kind of cool in the game. So there's that. And
that might lead me to believe it's Insomniac, because you can pet the cat in Spider-Man.
And then as for Hades, I've never heard of Hades actually. This is the first time I actually heard of it.
It's
so
an indie title, but it's basically endless gameplay. I believe it's like a dungeon crawler RPG style, but it's like randomly generated and all that kind of stuff. So no two like runs are the same. So I don't know much about it myself. All I know is that I've heard a lot of great things about it. So, and I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake of no shit that was going to get nominated for Best Game of the Year.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a really good game.
I mean,
played
it's great, don't get me wrong, but still, it's a no shit.
It's an obvious nominee. As for the winner, that remains to be seen.
Speaking of giant things that are a no shit, I need to talk about a Blizzard game because it's World of Warcraft. Its 8th expansion, World of Warcraft Shadowlands.
I remember talking to you about... Oh, go ahead.
The 8th expansion of World of Warcraft releases on November 23rd. If you play World of Warcraft, it's a PC-only MMO game, subscription service. I much don't care about Blizzard games because they can go fuck themselves. But World of Warcraft is so big and it's such a cultural phenomenon that any expansion is big news. So I didn't really do any writing myself on this. I used Wikipedia. So what you're reading right now is just going to be probably the same as Wikipedia. I'm sorry, Wikipedia. I know this is technically plagiarism, but I'm putting it all out there in the window. This is not my own writing because I don't care about World of Warcraft and I don't care about Blizzard. But because I have to talk about this game on the show, I'm talking about it. So for the first time since the release of World of Warcraft in 2004, Shadowlands will involve a level reduction, a quote-unquote level squish, with player characters at level 120, which is the level cap for Battle of Azeroth, reduced to level 50, with level 60 being the new level cap, as it had been in the original game. In what Blizzard has called a new Game Plus experience, newly created characters will have an updated starting experience on an isle called Exile's Reach, which will introduce them to the game and its systems. For players new to World of Warcraft, characters who finish the starting experience on Exile's Reach will proceed to Battle for Azeroth content, where veteran characters who create new players can choose the expansion experience if they wish to play through to level 50, at which point they would proceed to the Shadowlands, which is the new zone, and it's the realm of the dead, basically. The Shadowlands will feature 5 major zones: Bastion, Ardenwald, Revendurth, Maldraxxus, and the Maw. In the center will be the city of Oribos, which functions as the main player hub, similar to Shatrath, or I believe that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I don't play World of Warcraft. Stop yelling at me. To the Shatrath city in Outland and the Burning Crusade, or Dalaran in Wrath of the Lich King and Legion. There will be new dungeons for leveling. 4 new dungeons for leveling, 4 more at maximum level, and a new raid. In addition, a new roguelike endless dungeon called Torghast, Tower of the Damned, will be introduced for both solo and group play. All playable core races, not allied races, will receive new customization options. For example, humans will be able to customize their ethnicity, dwarves and trolls will gain tattoos, and the undead will be able to show varying degrees of decay. The Death Knight class, added in Wrath of the Lich King, is being opened up for Pandaren, added in Mists of Pandaria, and to all allied races, added in Legion and Battle for Azeroth. Players who pre-ordered Shadowlands received access to Death Knights for these races with the release of patch 8.3.0, Battle of Azeroth's last major content patch on January 14th of this year, 2020. The 4 zones that the Shadowlands comprise are ruled by covenants, similar to class orders introduced in Legion. Each covenant will have its own campaign, similar to the War campaign in Battle for Azeroth, with gear specific to the faction and abilities both universal and determined by class. The 4 covenants are the Kyrian of Bastion, the Night Fae of Ardenwald, the Venthyr of Revendurth, and the Necrolords of Maldraxxus. Players experiencing the Shadowlands content for the first time will need to reach level 60 before they can choose to pledge themselves to a covenant, while arts are able to do so at the start of Shadowlands content. After being disposed as War Chief of the Horde in the defeat of N'Zoth at the Battle for Azeroth. Sylvanas Windrunner travels north to Icecrown Citadel in the scourge-infested wastelands of Northrend and confronts the reigning Lich King. I'm sorry that I'm tripping over my words. This is a lot to talk about.
And there's a lot of random names.
And there's a lot of World of Warcraft names that I have no experience pronouncing.
Yeah.
The reigning Lich King, Bolvar Fordragon, taking the Lich King's helm of domination from him, she tears it in two, shattering the veil between realities and opening a portal to the Shadowlands, the Warcraft universe's afterlife. The Shadowlands have become warped in function during recent times. The Maw, excuse me, I'm so sorry. The Maw, a place in the afterlife reserved for the most sinful souls, is now absorbing all souls. As the effects of the helm's destruction are felt across Azeroth, Sylvanas has her forces abduct Alliance leaders Alden Wernin, Jania Proudmoor, and Turand Whisperwind, and Horde leaders Thal and Bane Bloodhoof. It's about... again, I don't know these names. I'm sorry.
However, okay. Just take all the time.
However, thanks to the power of the Night Warrior, Tyrande is the only leader to evade abduction. Champions of the Alliance and Horde alike are tested by defending their land from Scourge invaders. Suddenly, leaders from both factions receive word of a confirmed sighting of Nathaniel's Blight Caller, finding him at his home in the Eastern Plaguelands. Azeroth champions challenge him before Tyrande appears and overpowers him with her Night Warrior abilities. Upon learning about the Shattered Veil above Icecrown Citadel, Tyrande slays Blightcaller as justice for the burning of Taldrassil and continues her hunt of Sylvanas. With the Banshee Queen's right-hand man disposed of, champions track the recent abductions to the Northrend. Together they work with agents of the Argent Crusade to gather intel and create footholds throughout Icecrown to prepare an attack on the Shadowlands. Remember, this expansion is coming out tomorrow as of streaming this, but by the time the VOD's up, it'll already be out. It's November 23rd is what I'm talking about.
That was a lot to take in. So with this expansion...
A lot of names don't know.
I mean, so with this expansion, some of my friends who actually play Warcraft call Pandaria Kung Fu Panda Craft. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but one thing at a time here. He's also like bugged by the fact that Kung Fu Panda Craft, or Pandaria in this case, is interchangeable. You can put them on either faction, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, which is kind of weird, but I guess it's one of those things where you just kind of go with the flow. And then, there's all these other classes. There's not much I can talk about with World of Warcraft. I was surprised to hear that it was that it's a subscription game. You have to pay every month to
yeah, you didn't know that?
To actually, well, I guess I did when I was young, when the game originally came out, and then and then someone had to remind me of that. I'm like, you pay for the game every month to have to play it? I'm like, why? That doesn't make any sense. But hey, it is what it is, and I totally see that. It's just, I don't know. It's not. I'm not sure if this is a game that I would want to play. But hey, at least people enjoy what they like, and at least people like what they like. Maybe some other time, but at least it's there for the World of Warcraftians who think that League of Legends or, I don't know, Overwatch is bullshit. I don't know.
Hey, remember back in the day when Mr. T had the Mohawk grenade commercial for World of Warcraft? I do.
Yes, I remember that commercial. I wonder how much World of Warcraft he's really played in his life, but hey.
I don't know.
Yeah, not much else for me to say about WoW. It's one of those games where,
you
pretty much... What? What do you mean?
You don't have much. Wow, you don't have much to say about WoW? That's WoW.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Much wow.
Wow. Either way.
I really don't know either, but I was gonna say, and I was reminded when you said this, corrected me. My old roommate played League of Legends, I believe. And I've heard the word jungling, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But, yeah, at least cinematically it looks cool, but I've seen gameplay from mostly just from like sponsored videos from Achievement Hunter when they played it a while ago, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it, but it's not my kind of. It's not a game I really would want to get into because I know I would sink so many hours into it, and it would just be, something I don't need.
Apparently so, but yeah, again, not much else for me to say about this one. Hope that it, at least attracts to the people who have. But we have a lot of games to go through, don't we, Naka?
From one disappointment to another. Worms Rumble.
Well,
I'm sorry, but a Worms Battle Royale? Are you fucking kidding me? Come on, guys.
I could see it from the dislike ratio on this. And again, as a fan of Achievement Hunter, I've seen them play plenty of Worms. Part of the joy of that was them just thinking of ridiculous names for their Worms. But the top comment really says it. It's like, this goes against the entire purpose of what Worms was.
Exactly. We don't need a Worms Battle Royale, Team 17. You're better than this. 32 players in the cross-platform, a.k.a. Steam, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5. So not a whole lot of cross-platform right there. Combat in real-time arena-based levels.
I mean, that's
Cool.
cross-play to PlayStation.
Cool, I guess. It's a typical Battle Royale formula gameplay with customization and a battle pass of some sort. For whatever fucking reason you're interested in a 32-person Battle Royale based on Worms, a game that didn't need a fucking Battle Royale, it's planned to be released for Steam, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 on December 1st. Whatever.
Yeah, not much else for me to say on it.
Another thing is that I think the original one, or Worms WMD, is like 4 players, I think. Mostly. But it's like, the whole point of it is it's 2D, and I think this is like 2.5D. Yeah, it does kind of go against
2.5D. It's got 3D elements, but it is on a 2D plane.
Yeah, it would call 2.5D. I think we understand what that is now. Well, yeah, let's get punchy. Get punchy.
Not much else to say. Let's continue.
Let's move on to Fitness Boxing 2. Rhythm and Exercise. A rhythm game.
It looks interesting.
A rhythm game that isn't Guitar Hero or Rock Band or God damn it, sorry. Or Rock Band or Fuser. That's not a shitty Just Dance ripoff. Cool, I guess. Fitness Boxing and its sequel, Rhythm and Exercise, is, you guessed it, a rhythm-based exercise game where you do actions with your Joy-Cons corresponding to actions on screen that actually exercise your body, not just, ooh, look at me, I dance like crap. Look at all these fun songs that I can dance to, even though I can just move my hand. Unfortunately, the set list is a bunch of pop music bullshit, except for an original composition, Bad to the Bone by Steppenwolf, for whatever reason, to appeal to boomers, I guess, and Darude Sandstorm.
Hey, Aaron. How does Darude by Sandstorm go?
The demo's out already, but if you want to pick up the full game for yourself, because you're an adult, you're an adult if you own a Nintendo Switch with detachable Joy-Cons, because you need that, because you actually need to detach Joy-Cons or hook up Joy-Cons to a Switch Lite or some shit. Whatever. It's coming out on December 4th for the Switch.
I can just tell you I'm not getting it, but I'm a fat piece of shit. No. Yeah, it looks like it's more legit than it's definitely far more legit than Just Dance. Easily.
Scarfy, do you have anything to say other than, ooh, this looks interesting?
Well, I mean, at the very least, it's a Switch title, and at least, is a one step above, I guess, Just Dance. But hey, some people will like it. Some people will probably pick this as their next bet if they can't afford Ring Fit Adventure. And you know what? Good on them. I mean, Ring Fit Adventure is one of those games where I will probably never own, but who knows? Because I'd rather play a game rather than exercise a game. So, but yeah, other than that, not much else for me to say on this one. I wish there were more, but anyway.
I thought that this studio that made this game was dead, but they're back somehow. Telltale Games, I thought was dead, but I guess they had to come back to make the final season of the Walking Dead games, and also announcing The Wolf Among Us 2, and also remaking Sam & Max Save the World. Even after the major studio closure back in 2018, I'm pleasantly surprised to see them back. Even if it is a remaster of Sam & Max Season 1 from the mid-2000s, which was also released on the Wii and the Xbox 360 at 2 separate times. It's nice to see Sam and Max back on our screens again. The lovable LucasArts point-and-click adventure lads are back on screens. While only Nintendo Switch and Windows PC version will be released for now, that's kind of where they fit. Scarfy.
Yeah.
Telling people to engage will only deter them from engaging, by the way. Let people do what they want. If they're not chatting, it's not because they just might not have anything to add to the conversation. Come on.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. Worrying about the numbers it'll only stir your brain up, and it's not going to be good.
Okay. Continue.
While only a Nintendo Switch and Windows PC version are going to be released for now, that's kind of where they fit best, in my opinion. I don't want to get into the story details of this game because I missed out on it back in the day, but I'm probably going to pick it up because I like Sam & Max. But if you want to live the good old days of 90s point-and-click adventure games in 2020, December 2nd, 2020. God! December 2nd, 2020 release for the Nintendo Switch and Windows will be right for you.
Full disclosure, I was a little more worried that I would be the one full of belches because I just ate a full bowl of chili in under 15 minutes, and I'm like, I thought, oh, this is gonna be bad, but we roll with it. Sam & Max I'm aware of as a game, and I never did play it. But I do like the kind of comic dynamic that they have. And this is maybe Telltale's last gasp, but if it is, then I guess maybe a good note to go out on. Reviving an old favorite.
I hope people at least find this game interesting. I wish I played a Telltale game, unfortunately, but they went defunct. And I mean, I can still play it. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those. I wish that I found myself loving the Telltale series when it comes to certain games that have come out. But hey, whatever will interest the people. You know, that's really all I can say. Not much else to say about Sam & Max, but you know.
All right, let's move on to a game that was from what I read, originally VR only back in 2016, but is now no longer VR only. Chronos Before the Ashes. This is an overhaul of the 2016 RPG of the same name that was originally VR only, now getting a console release and a non-VR release for Windows PCs on December 1st for Windows, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Stadia. And any game that I mentioned is coming out on PS4 that doesn't, or Xbox One that doesn't have a PS5 or Xbox Series X/S release, it's backwards/forwards compatible. I'm probably going to bring that up next show and the show after that. And just remind people, because these consoles are still brand new. So, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One versions will play on the next-gen systems of their respective platforms. So, just getting that out there. And the Google Stadia. The game is a role-playing game viewed from a third-person perspective, though the game only has a fixed camera similar to the early Resident Evil games. Very interesting choice. In the game,
it's very niche style.
In the game, the player assumes control of a customizable protagonist who is on a quest to kill a dragon inside a labyrinth. The game's combat mainly involves slashing enemies with melee weapons while fending off hostile attacks with a shield. Should the player die where they are exploring, they can only re-enter the labyrinth one in-game year later, and the player character will age, which alters the character's attributes. Very interesting
That's an interesting
gameplay
prospect.
element.
Something I didn't get from this reveal trailer, which was very odd.
As the player progresses in the game, they will solve puzzles, acquire new weapons, and unlock magical powers. As the player earns experience, they will level up, which allows them to improve the player character's attributes, including strength, agility, arcane, magic stuff, and vitality. December 1st for Windows, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and the Google Stadia.
So I like the trailer that it's actually a meta trailer. It's a trailer inside the trailer, which I kind of thought was kind of cool. Sadly, not else for me to say about Chronos. Some people will like it, some people will not. But hey, at least it's there for people who like to want to enjoy it. That's really all I have to say.
I think I appreciate the idea. What you mentioned, like it being a like kind of meta, but I think it spent way too much time setting up some meta stuff that meant nothing. Like at least I think it was like 24 seconds in, we finally see some gameplay or like something that it's a game, not related to someone just humming something with their headphones on and everything. And then a little bit of like, "Mom, I'm playing the game." It's like little cringe. It's forgivable, but I think people are just confused by the delivery of this trailer. Here's the thing, that the trailer indicated that none of that. It didn't indicate anything from the character returning a year of age. Of course, there's only so much they can pack into a trailer, but usually you want to highlight the cool and interesting things about a game rather than kind of just trying to take your time with inconsequential scenes. But again, looks like a fairly cool game. The trailer did not do it justice. But
yeah.
Then I go over to that. That's it.
Listening while working. Again, I don't like it when people pressure people to interact. Sorry, Scarfy. It's something that kind of grates at me. People will interact when they can or they choose to because they are independent beings. Telling them, "Hey, where is everybody? Come on, start interacting." It's not cool.
Okay.
There's definitely ways to encourage them, but
it's basically streamer etiquette.
Okay.
Yeah, there's ways to encourage people, but yeah, you can. I think that we are an audio-based podcast, obviously, so it's easy for people. I don't know how easy it is. It's easier to listen and watch because we don't have our own video, and like it's not part of the whole our aesthetic and everything. But yeah, any way you can, we appreciate your support. Now, what looks to be Detroit 2.
Kind of, sort of, not really. Welcome back, Kyle. Twin Mirror. Twin Mirror is a third-person adventure game where you control Sam in his hometown of Basswood, West Virginia. The environment is interactive and objects attainable, and whom Sam speaks to is optional, and depending on the investigation status, there are multiple endings to unlock. Players navigate between reality and Sam's mind palace to figure out what's going on, and his inner voice, the double, may help or hurt the investigation. Looks fairly interesting, and it's releasing for PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One on December 1st.
I will say it looks, as far as like the crime scene part of it goes, it looks very much like especially when it, at that point in the trailer when it said, like, where did the fight start? And it's like the scene where he's investigating the fight in the house. The fight started in the kitchen. Suspect grabbed a knife, kind of thing, like picturing it all together. It does have the same game mechanic as Detroit, but also it reminds me a little bit of Observer, also, which again saw a little bit of, which is also like kind of using what do you call it, AR clues to like solve a mystery and everything. It does look like a very cool formula for a game. Again, very much heavily seems to be inspired by Detroit, but it does look very cool.
Yeah, there's not much else for me to say about Twin Mirror. It does kind of remind me of certain, Disney movies. I'll get into that later, but it does kind of remind me of, the like what about that one horror film Oculus? Is that what it's called? But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that one.
All right. So, with that, we're moving on to Immortals Fenyx Rising, and I need to clear something up now. The past, months worth of games that I've been looking at, sometimes there's a listing for Amazon Luna, and this, that is Amazon's game streaming service. I don't know much, and not a whole lot of people know much about it. It's very much still in its infancy, but apparently it's launched somehow. And Ubisoft is a primary partner with Amazon, and they have their own kind of special, kind of dedicated channel for the Amazon Luna service. It apparently launched last month, and I've heard nothing about it from anybody. And Immortals Fenyx Rising is a launch title. It's launching on the service, as well as Assassin's Creed Valhalla is out for it. I think also Watch Dogs Legion, but I don't know. I don't know. It's anyway. I wanted to get that out of the way first.
Of course.
Immortals Fenyx Rising is a third-person action-adventure game. At the beginning of the game, players can customize gender, the voice, and appearances of Fenyx using Aphrodite's beauty chair. At any point in the game, they can return to the beauty chair and customize Fenyx. The game is set in a large open world consisting of 7 distinct regions inspired by the Greek gods, so I'm thinking Ubisoft used a lot of what they learned with Assassin's Creed Odyssey because of the Greek, influence. Whatever.
And and the characters inevitably deciding to hang off Zeus's penis.
And the player character is accompanied by a companion bird named Phosphor, which can identify locations of interest in the map. Assassin's Creed. Fenyx can traverse the world quickly through climbing cliffs, riding on a mount, and flying using the wings of Daedalus. Assassin's Creed.
Oh, Jesus.
See, this is a very Assassin's Creed. It's very mythological Assassin's Creed, I should say.
Yeah.
So it's not
Apparently
necessarily
so.
Assassin's Creed, but you're getting another Assassin's Creed game this year. As players explore the world, they will encounter rifts, which would teleport them to the vaults of Tartaros, which are a series of platforming challenges that requires players to utilize both Fenyx's combat and traversal abilities. Players can also complete various side objectives and optional puzzles. The world of the Golden Isles is accompanied with various enemies inspired by Greek mythology, including Minotaurs to Cyclopses, or Cyclopes. There are 2 modes of melee attack. Light attacks with a sword are fast but weak, and heavy attacks with a hammer are slow but strong. Fenyx can also use bows and arrows to defeat enemies. Players need to manage Fenyx's stamina during combat, as they will become exhausted when they attack successively. As players progress in the game, they will be able to unlock powerful godlike abilities. For example, Fenyx can unlock Ares spears, which thrust enemies into the air. Armor and weapons can also be upgraded by collecting sufficient crafting resources in the game's world. This will release on Amazon Luna. It's going to release on pretty much everything but macOS and Linux. So that is Amazon Luna, Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Google Stadia, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series X and S consoles on December 3rd.
So, Amazon Luna, I know you don't know much about that, but how is it? Would it work on a Mac? I'm not asking to get this game. But
I don't know. I mean, Stadia works on a Mac, because Stadia is it's just over-the-air cloud stuff.
I mean, is there a physical component? Because, you say you're sent to Stadia, so that means there's a physical component to it.
The physical component
it's a new
Stadia
thing.
Controller and a Chromecast. I don't know what comes with the Amazon Luna. Nobody knows.
We'll figure it out, I guess. Visually, the game looked very cool. I think that... let me just double-check at the trailer.
Visually, the game looks very splendor. It's a very nice-looking game. I'll give it that. I don't know how well it's going to do, but at least it's there.
It was an eyebrow-raising number of dislikes. It was 7 point something to 2 point something.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's like at that point you can tell that there's something that isn't rubbing people the right way. Usually when something like that happens, it's usually a good idea to look at the comments, because the comments are generally from the detractors.
I should also mention that the game is composed by Gareth Coker, who did the music for Ori and the Blind Forest. So at least that's a thing.
Oh yeah, Xbox also posted on their YouTube the soundtrack to Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Oh my god,
did that one too.
So much. I mean, it really sets the mood for everything. I love that soundtrack, and the soundtrack for especially the definitive collection, it's the definitive edition for the Ori and the Blind Forest. That was great. Probably it looks like a good experience, but I'm not really sure what's going on with how the dislikes of the trailer are, but maybe people are catching on to be like, this is kind of just like a copy and paste of a lot of the stuff from Assassin's Creed and everything. It's like an Assassin's Creed Light, maybe they're thinking, but it looks very good. I understand this probably isn't game footage, but still. Flying around and everything looks like a lot of fun in general.
But it looks, at the very least, it looks very visually interesting. So if I would give it a shot. That's really all I have to say about that. Now, for this game, I'm very excited.
Empire of Sin. A Prohibition-era Chicago-based mob boss strategy game. It's already a good formula. Empire of Sin lets players take the role of one of several mob bosses inspired by real-life figures of the era to control the actions of underlings, take over opponents' businesses, and recruit new members to the cause while defending their own empire from other bosses. It's a turn-based strategy game where the player takes the role of a crime boss in the Prohibition era. Yes, I'm repeating this shit. Starting anew in 1920 and trying to gain control of Chicago by 1933. As the boss, they can enlist up to 16 underlings from 60 potential ones to manage their empire of questionable businesses such as speakeasies, casinos, and brothels, protecting them from the law and rifle mafia games, while trying to extend their own influence by taking over others. The game uses alcohol as a type of currency to extend the empire's influence. Alcohol can be made by breweries under the player's control, given to the player by allies, or rewarded as part of completing various missions. The quality of alcohol can impact its influence. Poor quality alcohol can be made cheaply and initially sold at high profit, but it will lose its value over time. Makes sense. Taking over another business may involve direct combat, during which the game enters a turn-based strategy game similar to XCOM, or can occur throughout other persuasive means, including short-term alliances with other gangs to defeat a common foe. Combat in other situations are impacted by various traits and perks that the characters have, and may cause them to act differently from the player's orders. For example, a character with the hair trigger trait may fire their weapon rather than moving to cover when ordered. These traits can change over the course of a game, and underling may become more accustomed to solving problems through violence. Through violent means, the more they are put into such conditions, for example. Controlling more territory gives the gang boss more funds to better arm their underlings or to recruit new members. The game is partially roguelike in nature, as the businesses of the game's map reallocate each new playthrough, and new characters are generated with different perks each time. Some have compared Empire of Sin as a spiritual successor to the 1999 game Mob Rule. A very interesting game set for release on December 1st for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Windows, and Mac OS.
So, yeah, with this game, I really want it to be good because I was enthralled by the visuals, I was enthralled by the soundtrack, the music, the singing. It looks very, very fun. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I'd play this in a heartbeat, depending on how much it was and depending on if it's good.
Yeah.
So
I know y'all want to talk about Chicago and everything, but let me tell you, a little old town called Baltimore, Maryland, was actually the center of Prohibition resistance. This is historically true. Baltimore, Maryland, they never passed the laws, so they were the center of resistance, which is probably the reason why it wasn't conducive to crime business kind of thing. I do think that I feel like I've seen these kinds of games pop up before. Like it's kind of like maybe Civilization kind of style of like, not quite that, but like managing your assets and territory and everything, and making alliances and stuff. I think making alliances was the big part. But yeah, for that to like make alliance with this gang and like assessing the risks and everything, I think it's pretty cool. I think it would be much cooler to see like the street level action. I don't know how much that is a part of this game, but yeah, a very cool premise. I don't know. It might get on Switch. We'll have to see. I'll probably see if any people I know or any YouTubers I know play it and see what they think. It does look like a very cool premise, I will say.
Yeah. So like what first intrigued you about this particular game, Naka, aside from, what was already given to you in the trailer?
Not a whole lot of games are set in Prohibition era Chicago, for one. For two, you're a mob boss. And I mean, so, that's how Mafia works. Haha, funny meme.
This is how Mafia work.
So if this game was good, you'd possibly buy it in a heartbeat just to see what it's like. Oh, wow. So
yeah. I think the only thing that might prevent me from doing it is like the type of game. I don't have the patience for like strategy games like that, but it does look very cool.
So I'm excited for this game, and I'm especially excited for the next game that is going to be talked about.
See, for this game, this is how you do the meta trailer correctly, I think.
Yes.
Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon in the Blade of Light.
That's
the original Fire Emblem game. Finally getting an official release in North America. An official English localization 30 years after it released in Japan for the Famicom, which was the Japanese NES. I'll get into its release a little bit later because Nintendo's doing the thing again. But Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon in the Blade of Light is a tactical RPG where players take control of Marth and his growing army during their campaign across the continent of Arcana. The game progresses in a linear fashion with maps being unlocked and played as dictated by the storyline. Each playable character is assigned to a unique character class that have various functions in battle, such as being mounted or having access to magic. A unit's class affects their range of movement and strength on the battlefield. Mounted or flying units have a greater mobility, archers have a greater attack range, while heavily armored characters have more damage resistance. Each character has a set character class, and each time a unit raises its experience level, its various stats will increase randomly. There are a total of 25 characters that can be recruited over the course of the game and 21 available classes for the majority of characters, with the exception of the main protagonist, Marth. Battles use a turn-based system with a limited number of player units and enemy units, each taking turns and moving across a grid-based battlefield. Battles are won by the player defeating key enemy units such as commanders and other boss characters. In battle, the game transitions to a dedicated battle arena where the battle plays out in real time. Each action yields experience points, EXP, and when the character earns 100 EXP, they level up, their health increases, and their class-specific statistics are randomly raised. During missions, towns and secret vendors can be visited, where new items such as healing potions, weapons, and armor can be purchased. Weapons and armor are specific to different characters, and each weapon has a limited lifespan before breaking when it reaches its limit, kind of like Breath of the Wild. Currency is limited to certain scripted or player-driven events or wagering on battle arenas. If a character falls in battle, they are subjected to permadeath.
Yes, permadeath.
Removing them from subsequent missions and the rest of the storyline. The game ends if Marth falls in battle, and it will be released for the Nintendo Switch on December 4th, 2020 for a limited time in North America, Europe, and Oceania. Not a limited time physical release, a limited time release like Super Mario Brothers 35 and Mario 3D All-Stars. What the fuck are you doing, Nintendo? Holy shit.
It is a questionable choice.
I understand that you're trying to drive sales, but you're doing it wrong. You're gatekeeping people who may not be fortunate. It's like, what if they get a Switch like 4 days before Mario 35 and Mario 3D All-Stars is delisted? Well, what about then, huh? Is this just for artificial scarcity and all that bullshit? No. Digital titles should remain on the storefront for as long as possible, and if it's like a licensed video game or it's a racing game with licenses that get taken down, that's understandable. But you own the IPs. You can afford to leave them up for as long as possible.
Yeah, I don't really get this move. It's like Sony levels of fuckery, but again, I understand why this is a big deal, and the trailer did introduce it correctly. It's like who the hell is this guy? This is why I don't play as him in Smash Bros. Yeah, this is like, clearly it looks like put a lot of effort into it. The localization and everything, having English, I don't know if it's English voice actors, but like basically making the game available to Americans and Canadians, I assume, but like English-speaking audiences.
You still have more to say though.
I still have a little bit more. I wanted to talk about that goddamn stupid release bullshit Nintendo's doing.
Oh boy.
Again, this is the first official English localization. A special edition of Fire Emblem 30th Anniversary Edition bundle will be available exclusively in North America, which includes a download code for the game as well as physical items, including a replica NES game pack with its own packaging and instruction manual. Nintendo, you're not limited run games. Please stop with the limited run games both physically and digitally. All you're doing is shooting yourself in the fucking foot.
Okay, so I'm just going to say this right now. With Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and Blade of Light, I checked up the price for the digital release. It's $5.99. Not actually a bad price for an NES game that released in 1990, and it should never be a bad price because, well, if they were charging $19.99, that's not worth it.
So the remake is, or this, not remake, this remaster version is $6, you're saying?
Pretty much, at least in terms of digital. Now, what is interesting is that this game actually did have a release on the Nintendo DS. However, the DS version is really bad, like super bad. Like, don't even play it. Like, don't even touch it as much as breathe on it. That's how bad it is.
Think about it.
Yeah. So, I really want to play this game. I think I'm gonna buy it because I really want to see what it's like. I've never played I have Fire Emblem games. I really always wanted to try it, so I figured why not start with this game. I guess if I had to pick some, I think I have a deduce. If I had to deduce what is going to happen, which I think is pretty stupid, I'll just say that up front. It's going to be pretty stupid. My theory is that after this game's limited release window is up and they're going to take it away from the Nintendo eShop, they're probably going to put it on the NES library with Nintendo Online membership pay subscription, which I think is stupid if that was the case. It's like, why? Why would you need to do that?
They're taking it away. They're taking it away without taking it away, but keeping it behind a paywall.
My theory with that, on the other hand, the Mario 3D All-Stars, is that they'll probably split it into 3 separate games, and you could just buy it offhand, but then people are going to be saying, well, if they have the opportunity to put a GameCube and a Wii game on the Nintendo Switch, surely they could do it with the others, and it's like, it's unfortunate, but they're probably not going to do it with any other GameCube game, which doesn't really matter because, you could play the Nintendo Switch version just fine. But yeah, this is a game that I definitely want to pick up. I'll probably pick it up digitally. Oh, and just in case you guys don't know, I actually own a digital and a physical version of Mario 3D All Stars, just to see what to happen.
You bastard!
The physical edition is factory sealed. I haven't opened it, so.
Oh, look at you! Now, when it finally gets delisted, and you can't buy it in stores anymore, you're gonna sell that on eBay for $400. You fuck!
I think that
I'll probably give it to I'll probably keep it and then probably give it to someone who is less fortunate than I am. We'll see what happens.
I do think that now that you mentioned that, Naga, the strategy kind of does invite indirectly.
They're just inviting scalpers.
Yeah,
That's all they're doing.
It pretty much is inviting scalping. There was even for Achievement Hunter something about like one of the new McDonald's like chicken sandwiches or something like that. Some guy bought a bunch of them, was like stood out front of the McDonald's telling people that they were out of it and that he had the last ones. It's like people will go to Lowe's that are you might think are unthinkable, but yeah, grab people.
Anyway, we
yeah.
need to move on to some miniature announcements. Just games that are getting re-releases and that kind of bullshit. First, we have Vigor, which is being released on PlayStation 4. Previously, it's a looter shooter previously released on Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. Is getting a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 release. Specifically, the PlayStation 4 version's coming out on November 25th with a planned holiday season release for the PS5. Next, we move on to Shiren the Wanderer, the Tower of Fortunate, and the Dice of Fate. A prior Nintendo DS and PlayStation Vita exclusive roguelike RPG is being re-released for the Switch and for Steam Windows on December 2nd worldwide, and probably because of time zones, December 3rd in Japan. But that's probably just time zone fuckery. Next up is Dragon Quest XI X Definitive Edition, which is... I've already talked about this game in mass before, one way or another. Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition is being released for other platforms besides the Switch, specifically PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One, on December 4th. Now we move on to Commandos 2. A re-release of a previous remaster, Commandos 2, which came out on other platforms, is releasing on the Switch on December 4th. And I'm going to combine this into a 2-in-1. FIFA 21, Madden 21, Madden NFL 21. Yay, sports on next gen.
Rinse and
December
repeat.
4th.
Yeah.
And finally, we have John Wick Hex, which is a timeline strategy game utilizing a hex-based grid to control John Wick, is releasing on Switch and Xbox One on December 4th. This, I believe, is previously released on PC and PlayStation 4.
Wonderful.
Now, that is all we have to talk about for Biddy James. Now I can actually shut up, enjoy a little bit of my beverage, non-alcoholic, but my beverage. And Scarfy, you get to talk about the Criterion Collection again.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, this is your last reminder that the Criterion Collection is having their biannual 50% off holiday sale at Barnes & Noble bookstores nationwide. Criterion is an American home video distribution company which focuses on licensing important classic and contemporary films and selling them to film aficionados such as myself. Here is the entire list on the Criterion website, but please keep in mind that the sale is on Barnes & Noble, so you don't get confused. If you plan on buying online in order to bypass shipping, you'd have to essentially spend $35 at least, or you can simply go to a Barnes & Noble bookstore, wearing a mask, of course, and buying the film that you requested. And if it's not there, you can just ask the clerk to order it for you and have it shipped to your house, no charge for shipping. Criterion is a fantastic movie distribution company, and I've become quite the collector myself, owning a grand total of 50 plus Criterion films. The films cost a lot of money at retail, so I wouldn't dawdle on this if you have the time. If you need help and are interested, just let me know. Each Criterion film comes with the movie with the picture refreshed and recolored in how the director imagined how the film should be seen, with interviews, supplements, deleted scenes not otherwise seen on regular Blu-ray or DVD, a booklet complete with essays about the film and film production, and some even have other goodies inside it depending on which one you buy. Each film is literally a film school, and should you buy and open a case, if you like a certain film so much you want to learn how the director was able to make it, Criterion is the best you're going to do, at least when it comes to the US. So please don't waste this opportunity. The sale lasts until November 30th, so yeah, again, don't miss this opportunity. Anyway, we've talked about Criterion before, so I don't think it's I don't think we have to spend too much time since we talked about last week. So, bye, Robert. All right.
Bye, Rob.
I
guess the only other thing you could say is
Have
that
fun, don't die.
we might have said this before, but yeah, it's a great gift option as a stocking stuffer for the holidays.
I agree.
One expensive ass stocking stuffer, I'll tell you what.
Well, you don't always have to use it in a stocking, but to each their own.
Now we have quite a couple of movies to talk about, so we're gonna go ahead and get into that. Our first film of the year that we're going to talk about. It looks like a certain actress is about to try. Well, sorry, I meant. Did I say year? I meant
yes,
the week.
you did say year.
I meant to say the week. Let's move on. It looks like a certain actress is about to try and strike gold once again. We'll just have to see how she does with it. Superintelligence is an upcoming American action comedy film directed by Ben Falcone and written by Steve Mallory. The film stars Melissa McCarthy, Bobby Cannonvale, Brian Tyree Henry, Gene Smart, Octavia Spencer, and James Corden. Nothing extraordinary ever happens to Carol Peters, so when she starts getting snarky backtalk from her TV, phone, and microwave, she thinks she's being punked or losing her mind. In fact, the world's first superintelligence has selected her for observation, taking over her life with a bigger, more ominous plan to take over everything. Now, Carol is humanity's last chance to prove that people are worth saving. The film is directed by Ben Falcone, and what is interesting about him is that he is the husband to Melissa McCarthy, the star of the movie. In an entertainment form of setting, you have a very... I'm just going to go ahead and just humor me for a little bit, okay? In an entertainment form of setting, here you have a very attractive, very glamorous and entertaining actress. And on the other hand, you have the man essentially and basically pulling the strings of her career and continuing to further both each other's resumes. Whether or not you care, the fact that they're working together and are husband and wife basically brings good gossip in Hollywood. You know,
I'll say one little thing. It kind of reminds me that the fact that in A Quiet Place, I still haven't seen the sequel, but in A Quiet Place, John Krasinski and his wife were actual husband and wife in the movie.
So
that's pretty cool.
So Falcone has starred in minor roles alongside with McCarthy in other movies. Unfortunately, I wish I could say the same about his directing. His directing with McCarthy includes the films with Tammy, The Boss, and Life of the Party. So sadly, a bit of a mixed blessing. But hey, if they're in love and they're having fun making movies, no matter what the quality is, from a personal point of view, I'd say let them have their fun. They're not harming anyone else. But from a critical point of view, I'd say wait and see what the ratings bring with this film. It looks silly and kind of witty, but other than that, it's about as what you expect from McCarthy. Let's just wait to see what it has to offer. The film releases on HBO Max on November 26th.
What kind of fresh hell did this movie come out of, where people are in T-Mobile Park watching Mariners games and cheering that the Mariners are doing something good? What fresh hell did this movie climb out of?
It's like, here comes urinating trees saying that they are supposed to be, the Mariners are supposed to be punching their fans in the dick.
Could you really say that the Mariners were punching their fans in the dick if they weren't expected to do anything this season?
Was that like in the middle of the trailer, or like I'm trying to find exactly where the point is?
I literally saw Seattle Mariners in the background of like Melissa McCarthy and whoever, like other male lead. They were like standing up and cheering. They're at the fucking stadium cheering for the Mariners. No, that doesn't happen anymore.
The Seattle Mariners a bad team?
Oh, they're garbage.
Dude, I will tell you this. Nelson Krüz, formerly of the Orioles, hit a home run for the Mariners when they were at Orioles Park. It hit one of the seats near me, and it was one of the loudest fucking sounds I've ever heard. This movie, it was a little... I feel like the trailer even blew its load a little too early with, like, her asking... I think she asked the AI if it was James Corden, rather. It's like, I was told that the voice of James Corden would calm you down. I don't know. I felt like they kind of bungled that a little bit, but sure, it kind of looks like, I guess I want to say, the typical comedy for Melissa McCarthy, for better or worse. Yeah, it's just kind of there for me.
Anyway,
it's just one of those. Regardless.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that I think if people need to turn their brains off, you know, it's there. But yeah, I guess it's best to move on to the next film, which is going to cause, I don't want to say controversy, but at the same time, I think it's going to really bring a lot of interesting details because this film has been getting really good reviews.
It's a rom-com.
The problem is
give
you
it-
have a actress who is incapable of expressing human emotions. You know who I'm talking about.
Hey now.
She's at least moved on from that, and she has been in other good films. But let me continue. Anyway, I think this is something most of us can relate to when it comes to the holidays. Happiest Season is an upcoming American romantic comedy film directed by Clea Duvall from a screenplay written by Duvall and Mary Holland. The film stars Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis, Alison Brie, Aubrey Plaza, Dan Levy Holland. Dan Levy Holland. I don't know where I got that from. Did I say? Okay. Mary Holland, Victor Garber, and Mary Steenburgen. Meeting your girlfriend's family for the first time can be tough. Planning to propose at her family's annual Christmas dinner until you realize that she hasn't even come out of the closet is even harder. When Abby learns that Harper has kept the relationship a secret from her family, she begins to question the girlfriend she thought she knew. The film takes a hilarious turn that captures the range of emotions tied to wanting your family's acceptance, being true to yourself, and trying not to ruin Christmas. The film is directed by Clea Duvall, also a lesbian, who has a very interesting resume when it comes to film production. She wrote and directed another queer film, which was her directorial debut called The Intervention. The film is saturated with a ton of real queer actors, Kristen Stewart, Victor Garber, Aubrey Plaza, Dan Levy, etc. So I think this film at least has the queer representation part in the bag, which is good. My only big concern is hoping that the film at least follows the Vito Russo test. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Which are basically 3 rules. If you want to look up in detail, the film contains a character that is LGBTQ+. The character must not be solely defined by their sexual orientation, and the character must be tied in the plot in such a way that the removal would have a significant effect. I'm not sure how well these rules will be followed in this movie, but I can only hope that we do a good job here when it comes to that, not trying to, I guess, rock the boat when it comes to family and holidays and bringing something out of the norm and out of parents' mentality is relatively something we all have to deal with because none of us like rocking the boat. It's hurt. It's awkward. You always have to worry about everything, what you say from what you do, whether it's race, whether it's sexual orientation, whether it's creed. I think this will connect with many different people in a certain way. A lot of people compare this film to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but with lesbians, I guess you could say. But hey, if you're at least looking forward to the holiday season, this seems like a good choice to choose from. I can only hope it does well. The film releases November 25th on Hulu. Krüz, what do you have to say regarding this?
I can say, I don't know. I think that it doesn't look bad. I will say that, but
it's been getting really good reviews. At least there's that.
The thing about it, and yes, this isn't just because of Twilight, but it feels like when I'm looking at with Kristen Stewart, like her facial expression never changes, ever. It's kind of absurd and a little uncomfortable. But as far as like representation goes and everything, with like this is probably definitely an instance that or situation that a lot of people have had to deal with or engage with families that aren't typically either we're not exposed to it or we're not accepting of it. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I definitely agree that like that is a thing that could be explored, but I do think they might have, they could have done better than Kristen Stewart, we'll say.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I can't fucking stand rom-coms. I can't fucking stand
It's also a rom-com too.
However, that is not to denounce or belittle the content and subject matter in this film. I think it is important. I feel like people are going to connect to it, hopefully in a positive way where everything works out. But I have mixed feelings about this. And it's nothing towards, the people who make it, the people who made the movie, the people who star in it. It's just, I don't know how I feel about this. I really don't. And the fact that it's a rom-com doesn't fucking help.
I also don't know how to react to the immediately what seemed kind of forced, the "why are you in the closet" joke that was somewhere in the trailer. I'm like,
yeah, I noticed that one too.
I don't know whether to roll my eyes or to be like, they get the joke too, or kind of thing. That's like, I'm like, okay, I don't know how to react to it.
It's writing quirk. That's really what it is. It's So I understand you're not a fan of rom-coms, but at least in terms of the subject matter, you would say it's a step above certain rom-coms. Would you at least give it that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, anything else we want to talk about with this movie?
Nope.
All right. Well, do you want to move on to the next one?
Yes.
Well, it's time for a movie that I, for one, am very excited, but I am hoping that people will be giving a chance to it. Nomadland is a 2020 American drama film directed by Chloe Zhao, who also wrote, edited, and co-produced. The film is based on the 2017 nonfiction book Nomadland Surviving America in the 21st Century by Jessica Bruder, and stars Frances McDormand, David Strathairn, Linda May Swanky, and Bob Wells. The film had its world premiere on September 11th, 2020 at the Venice Film Festival, where it won the Golden Lion. It also won the People's Choice Award at the Toronto International Film Festival, making it the first film ever to win the top prize at both Venice and Toronto. Following the economic collapse of a company town in rural Nevada, a woman named Fern packs her van and sets off on the road, exploring a life outside of the conventional society as a modern-day nomad, as Fern's mentors and comrades help in her exploration through the vast landscapes of the American West. So I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that this film is directed by Chloe Zhou, a Chinese film director who's directed some very well thought out and exceptionally well done material. In fact, she will also be taking part in directing Eternals, a film in the MCU that is set to be released next year. So as you can already tell, we expect very good things from her already from a commercially successful point of view. Now here's the bad news. The trailer could be at least a little more engaging. I mean, don't get me wrong, trailers tend to do the crime of spoiling way too much for an audience. It's why I only ever watch one giant trailer and don't ever care to watch another one of the same movies over again, which is something rarely I ever do. And teasers don't really tend to count. However, here we don't have a trailer, just a teaser. And because of that, I wish I could talk more about the premise or the plot, and I wish that you guys could establish a connection with the character in the trailer. So needless to say, this is the trailer where you have to draw your own conclusion. The film has been getting very good reviews, so I think it's safe to say that perhaps the director didn't want to give too much away. And and if you were a filmmaker, yeah, who would want to give away the biggest plot points? Regardless, however, the film releases on December 4th. What do you guys think? I know.
There's not much
I know.
we know. I can't tell what to think about it if we don't know shit about it.
I know. It's a little sad. I get it. It's just
a little.
Well, I mean,
it's trying. I think it's trying a little too hard to be the kind of artsy fartsy indie film kind of thing. It's trying a little too hard for that. It kind of gives you the setting. Or at least a part of the movie, like the trailer park. But beyond that, it doesn't tell you anything that's happening. It just tells you where people are and like what situation they're in. But that's only one moment. And I do understand that it's a very hard thing to do, to make a trailer that gets the message across, gets people hyped, doesn't give too much away. You're cramming the whole. You're not trying to cram the whole movie into 2 minutes. You're trying to put forth something that'll get people excited about it, give them just a little bit of information, and make them wonder what it's about. Yeah. I don't know how this is going to look. It kind of looks like and again, I've only heard about this movie. I haven't watched it. Like Hillbilly Elegy kind of thing, like being a very kind of slice of life kind of thing of how these people out here, how it is on the ground, how people live. It's a very interesting thing to look at. That was one of the things I looked at for my history capstone, like because my capstone was on the fall of the Habsburg Empire. Like one of the books I read was on sources from in Vienna during the collapse, like what they were doing, what people in this territory were doing. It does look like it's going to be it should be a good movie, but they're not really showing much of like what it's going to be about. I don't know. They could have done just a little bit more, but maybe there's another trailer that comes out.
Like, I'm personally okay with this teaser, but that's just because I'm a film buff. I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure people who are looking at it, including you guys, are going, what? And that's the problem. It's like, you know, yeah.
I think that I get, like, obviously there's things you know that neither of us, Naka and I, don't know, but for us it's like, I think you look at it like oh, come on, and we're like, what? Where you're like, oh, the answer was right there. Like, this is what you have to show them, versus us being like, what? Like, yeah, because we don't get it because we're not being fed the right information and everything. Right.
And that and to be fair, I talked about this film with a couple of friends of mine, and I was very like upset because I didn't know how to make this trailer a little more presentable for you guys, because it's just Francis McDormand walking in a straight line. That's it. It's upsetting, and I wish there was more I could say, but I guess the director really wanted to keep control and not give away too much of the film. And if that's you know, if that's the point, you know, more power to you. But at the same time, unfortunately, people like to be engaged, and sadly, that's just how it is. And Naka, you've been a little quiet. What do you have to say regarding this film, if at all?
We don't know shit about it. How can I talk about something that I don't know about?
Well, you could.
There's a lot of. I think, yeah, there's a lot of stuff we don't know about it. Again, what I think is that movie trailers, there are times where this kind of approach works, but I think it works better when you have some idea of the
what
story.
The fuck is going on.
The setting maybe is a little more apparent, because we're aware of what the setting is, because it kind of reminds me of a book I read called Waiting for Normal. So anyway, the story is basically this girl lives with her mom who divorced their dad, who they had split custody, and her mom is working every day and everything. Like, it's kind of like just about daily slice of life kind of thing. You know, I don't know, just how they present it. Like, it could have been done better, but again, I understand Scarfy, and I'm saying this to you, Mesa, but basically is that I understand how hard it is to like make a trailer that's really good, but this one was a little bit deliberately vague, and that kind of doesn't do it for a lot of people. But talking about something more crude.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about more of a film that had a very interesting development timeline. You know, it is now time to look at DreamWorks' next film. Like I said, very interesting development timeline.
Go talk about this while I go take a piss.
Okay.
I'm so angry I have to pee.
The Krüz, A New Age, is an upcoming American computer animated adventure comedy film produced by DreamWorks Animation and distributed by Universal Pictures. A sequel to the 2013 film The Krüz, the film will be directed by Joel Crawford in his feature directorial debut from a screenplay by Dan Hagerman, Kevin Hageman, Paul Fisher, and Bob Logan. It will star the returning voices of Nicolas Cage, Emma Stone, Ryan Reynolds, Catherine Keener, Clark Duke, and Cloris Leachman, with the new cast members including Peter Dinklage, Leslie Mann, and Kelly Marie Tran. Continuing where the original film left off, the Krüz need a new place to live, so the first prehistoric family sets off into the world in search of a safer place to call home. When they discover an idyllic, walled-in paradise that meets all their needs, that they think their problems are solved. Except for one thing. Another family already lives there. The Bettermans. The Bettermans, with their elaborate treehouse, amazing inventions, and irrigated acres of fresh produce, are a couple of steps above the Krüz on the evolutionary ladder. When they take the Krüz in as the world's first house guests, it isn't long before tension escalates between the K family and the Modern family. Just when all seems lost, a new threat that will propel both families on an epic adventure outside the safety of the wall, one that will force them to embrace their differences, draw strength from each other, and forge a future together. So there's a lot to talk about with this film. The film franchise has inspired its own TV series. Let that speak for itself. What really interests me about the film is its production history. The sequel was announced for production in 2013 with the original directors Chris Sanders and Kirk D'Amico, and would later be scheduled for a 2017 release, but the film kept getting delayed until it was reportedly put back on the shelf in 2016. Apparently, DreamWorks was in an acquisitional deal with Universal at the time, which left DreamWorks in a bit of a predicament to decide whether or not they wanted to continue before becoming part of Universal and deciding what they should do. However, a year later, when the film was supposed to be released, it was put back into production and scheduled for 2020 this year, with the original directors returning, instead leaving Joel Crawford to sit in the director's chair. And since this is his directorial debut, he has some massive shoes to fill for his full feature film. Full feature length film. There's sadly not much for me to say regarding this movie. I never saw the original, so I can only assume it was good, and the sequel at least looks pretty. I'm just not sure what to say. However, we have a really good talent. We have some really good talents in this film here. So I don't think they looked at the script and scoffed at it. They must have seen something that I didn't see at first in it. But hey, the film releases on November 25th. So, Krüz, what do you think?
I think, well, the first thing I noticed about this was, I of course did not see the first movie, but I think that they did the typical thing with the trailer for this one. They just, welcome to my house, for the fucking song, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to kill myself. I'm just like, God, listening to this stupid ass washed up pop bullshit music. It's kind of a pattern. I think that like movies like this have been like, they try to prop themselves up with like some hip pop song or whatever kind of bullshit. Like, yeah, it's just kind of there. Again, I didn't see the first one. I don't think I'm going to see this one. You know, it's like, I couldn't be bothered to, but it's like, I think the next animated movie I'd want to see would probably be, and, you know, fingers crossed, Zootopia 2, well, whatever's happening with that. Krüz, I mean, it's really on the nose as it is. And when you get more on the nose with Bettermans, like Better Man, it's like, come on.
The differences between these
it's
two
low-hanging
technical, like they're technically two different
you have Swiss Family Robinson versus,
and there's family.
You know,
it's yikes to me.
You have Swiss Family
sense.
Robinson versus Caveman Mark, or as he's also known, the He Who.
So, what do you have to say regarding this particular film?
I
Naka?
mean, just the scenario of like these two families, like one, the Bettermans are better than the people who, you know, aren't as evolved as them. It's very just yikes.
Then you get
Betterman,
Better Man. Could you be more on the nose than that? I don't think it's possible.
Like, do you understand why I say it's very yikes?
Yes.
That itself is concerning. If you think about it, it
why is it concerning?
Repeat yourself, please.
Why is it concerning? It's just a movie about two families fighting.
Two families fighting. One called the Bettermans, who are more technologically advanced than the Krüz. Doesn't that seem a little...
I mean, isn't that kind of the point, though? A little bit?
It is the point, but it's also just kind of like, come on, man. Like, as I said, it's low-hanging fruit. It's a little too low.
But it's 2020 when racial tensions at an all-time high in America, and you know, since 2000, I want to say. And you're gonna release a movie where it's literally, you know, one family is superior than the other family, and it's literally because they look different. They are like, not in terms of just like, you know, their hair, like how they do their hair or anything. It's how they're built different, and the stuff that they do. It's very. I'm concerned that might not spark issues. Am I the only one who's actually thinking about this?
I just think that, well, here's the thing. I can see how you're getting that, but I just think it won't get enough attention to even get close to sparking that much of a problem. Because people are just going to be like, well, if you didn't see the first one, they're not going to give a shit about the second one, as maybe tone deaf / on the nose it is.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's all I have to say regarding the Krüz and a new age. But I'm pretty sure you, Krüz, and you, Naka, are very excited about this film.
I'm not paying for this service just to watch this.
I know that's the problem.
I mean,
but
it's
let's
already
talk
out.
about it first. But...
Let's talk about it first. Finally, it is now time to take a look at what the Irish animation company Cartoon Saloon has in store for us. And personally, out of all the trailers, this is the movie that I'm most excited for. Wolfwalkers is a 2020 animated fantasy adventure film directed by Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. The film stars Honor Neefsey, Eva Whittaker, Sean Bean, Simon McBurney, and Maria Doyle Kennedy. In Ireland, Luxembourg, France co-production led by Cartoon Saloon and Melazine Productions. It premiered at the 2020 Toronto International Film Festival on September 12th. This, in a time of superstition and magic, a young apprentice hunter, Robin Goodfellow, journeys to Ireland with her father to wipe out the last wolf pack. While exploring the forbidden lands outside the city walls, Robin befriends a free-spirited girl, I apologize. Meb McTeary, a member of the mysterious tribe rumored to transform into wolves by night.
Let me have a quick...
What? I want to read this.
I want to tell you the name MacTear. That's wolf in Irish.
Oh, okay. As they search for Meb's missing mother, Robin uncovers a secret that draws her further into the enchanted world of the Wolfwalkers and risks turning her into the very thing her father has to destroy. The film is co-directed by Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. Moore, under the film production company Cartoon Saloon, has helped make some of the most well-known animated films that the Eastern Shores has bound to see, as much as possibly the Western Shores want to see as well. This includes the film such as The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, and The Breadwinner, earning many awards and being nominated for the Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature. I've only seen The Secret of Kells, and I've meant to see Song of the Sea and The Breadwinner. But as always, this is the film that I think we all want to see here. The animation in the trailer looks very beautiful, and if that's not going to intrigue you guys, look at it. It's a 2D animated film. We don't see these often anymore. 2D animated filmmaking is expensive, and I'm happy to hear that there is still an appreciation that isn't just seen in Japan. That isn't just seen in Japan or just a cartoon on cable. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to the Anthraholics for being able to see this film before I do. And they said it was an excellent film. A little annoyed and quite jealous that they saw it before me. And because of the pandemic, it's not playing anywhere near me. The film was released theatrically in the United Kingdom on October 26th, and in the United States and Canada on November 13th, and is expected to be released theatrically in Ireland later in the year. And on Apple TV Plus on December 11th. We're wolves, we house a tree, we entertain, and I think we're all going to see this movie. And I cannot wait to see it when it comes out on Apple TV Plus. Guys, what do you have to say regarding this?
Give me money so I can watch it, because I'm not paying for Apple TV Plus.
That's fine.
I'm gonna try to. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to a movie theater since the before times. But if there is one available, and I'm definitely okay with it if we're able to do it safely. I think that if there's a movie to go and see, it probably would be this one because, and as I said, and sorry if I really wanted to just say it before I forgot, but the name Meb MacTear, it's pronounced Maccheer, like Maccheer. That's wolf in Irish Gaelic, which I think is kind of nice. It's normally two separate words, but I guess as a name, it's one word. But I know this because I researched it and I looked for the last convention I went to, which was Philadelphia, which the theme of that was Celtic Knights. So my badge name was Krüz Re Maccheer, or Krüz the King Wolf kind of thing. So Maccheer means wolf. And again, I like it's made in Ireland. I love that. It looks so good. It looks like it looks like this is one movie that I would be looking forward to, and I also am on the boat with Naka that I'm probably not going to just dump money on Apple Plus to Apple TV.
There's always yar har fiddle dee dee.
No,
I know.
No, you're not going to advocate piracy.
Yar har fiddle dee dee.
You're not going to advocate piracy just to watch this movie. I will support creators. I support creators of magic like this. Okay, just because you think, I can pirate shows. Oh, that's fine. You'll realize. You realize that's actually robbing dollars away from the people who created fucking things that you're watching? Oh, but he can't afford cable. Yeah, you can find other ways to goddamn support the fucking creators.
I think it might... The ways that we could watch it on other platforms, it might come later. I think YouTube itself has a lot of ways you can watch movies on YouTube. You just have to pay, like, I don't know, usually Italy's like $3 to something other dollars. It's like... Usually not that expensive, but
I mean, it's only $5 for Apple TV Plus. That's not a lot, but
maybe I'll get the free trial and then just
you just get the free trial.
I'll get the free trial and then just make like a Tostito chip and dip.
So
I'm not supporting Apple. I'm sorry if that's the only way I can watch this. I'm sorry, but I'm not supporting Apple any way or form. I hate.
Other than that, other than, the fact that it's coming on Apple TV Plus, other than the fact that you can't pay for it, what do you have to say about the film? Because I haven't heard any of that.
I literally said you don't get to pirate magic like this because visually, admittedly, the story is a bit contrived because, the parent doesn't know that their child is either the thing or helping the thing that they are hunting. Kind of like, I don't know How to Train Your Dragon. But visually and audio,
the kid didn't know either.
Yeah, still, but from a technical standpoint, from a visual and audio standpoint, fucking phenomenal. It's just a goddamn shame that it's on Apple TV.
It's been getting really good reviews, at least.
There's that. So, again, the limited. I don't know, what's it called? Distribution of it, that's the word, is a bit of a problem, but I do want to see this. I don't know, I'm going to do it legally, but I think if I should have to get a free trial or 1 week of Apple TV, sure, fuck it. But if there's another way, I'll probably look at that way. And it might be YouTube.
At least Apple TV Plus is only $5 a month. It's not like a huge amount of money.
It's still Apple.
I know, if I had to pay $5 to see one movie. I know people have their grievances with Apple, and yes, as an owner of Apple products, I understand. People have their grievances, but I'm just like, get over yourself, kind of man. I'm like, yes, don't buy Apple products then. Oh my god. But
anyway, I do hope
Apple
you guys...
TV Plus, it's its own thing. They wanted to make their own service, and bleh.
Anyway, I hope you guys do get a chance to see this movie. So, without further ado, that is it for the week ahead. So we're going to move on to our coming attractions. Our first coming attraction is Ip Man, Kung Fu Master. During the time as a police captain in Foshan, a great martial artist is targeted by a vengeful gangster just as the Japanese army invades the region. I've actually seen Ip Man films, I forgot what his name was, Johnny Woo or something like that. I forgot if that was the original Ip Man. I don't know if this Ip Man is going to be any good, so we'll have to wait and see when the movie comes out. What do you guys think?
Well,
the stunned silence is very reassuring.
From what I can tell, I looked at all these trailers. I made sure to do that this time, but from what I could tell from watching this and then also seeing the comments and the dislike ratio, it's kind of like felt like they're just kind of milking the concept to like just keep going, and that comes with its own kind of problems, of like trying to make something last longer than it should. I mean, you have many examples of like slasher horror, stuff like that. We'll see. I mean, it just looks like... Here's the thing. In and of itself, might not be bad, but just like as a franchise, tag, it might be kind of, overstaying its welcome.
Okay. And as for you,
I mean,
okay.
I kind of don't know how to feel about this because I've never really been a fan of kung fu movies, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not bad. Like, my thoughts aren't bad. It's just kind of meh. And I hope that's not discrediting the filmmakers because obviously with any movie that isn't just some corporate cash cow looking at you fucking Fast and Furious. Goddamn, we're going to the fucking moon in Fast 9.
The moon?
Wait, really? They're going in the moon?
They're going to space at least. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't
Why
know.
the
That
fuck
movie was
not?
supposed to come out this year, but thank you, Backstreet Boys reunion tour, for fucking that up. And John Cena's the bad guy, who's apparently Dominic Toretto's brother. What the fuck is that supposed to be?
I can see that with the actor choice, like Vin Diesel and him, but like a little forced. It feels like.
Apparently so. Anyway,
But
let's move on. Let's move on to the next trailer, which I really don't care.
yeah, no.
Please.
I forgot we don't have slides for this. I almost did. I almost switched over to the end slide. Oops. Go on.
It's fine. System of the Groom. During a destination wedding weekend, a woman and her loyal husband plans a series of embarrassing mishaps to ruin the relationship between her brother and his new bride.
Why?
Rom drama,
Why?
rinse and repeat.
I don't know. Just no.
It's not a romantic comedy, but it's a rom drama, and it's just kind of like people are. This makes you look at people, and you're like, people are so fucking petty. It's like,
let's go ahead and move on to the. Let's go ahead and move on to the next trailer. Pieces of a Woman. After losing her newborn baby, a woman embarks on an emotional journey while navigating her grief, while working through fractious relationships with her husband and mother.
Man.
holy shit! There's actually emotional stakes in this.
Wait, really?
It looks like it because, well, I looked at the trailer. People were talking about mostly in the comments of Shia LaBeouf and like, him and his he will not divide us mental breakdown tirade, but how it really this trailer seemed to focus on how this woman, because here's the thing, I've never had a child and I probably won't for a while, but losing a child is a pain that cannot be understated. Losing a child before they're even born is something even more painful. And I think that what really struck me about this trailer is that I think the grandmother was talking to the mother who had the miscarriage, and like the mother who had the miscarriage was like fighting back, saying like you don't get to dictate my sorrow, kind of thing. Like, yeah, that's the point that people are put at this point. You've lost something that, I don't know. It's like it's impossible to really put into words. It's like you've just lost. So yeah, Pieces of a Woman. I think that's why the name of the movie is what it is. Definitely an emotional roller coaster. It looks like. I will say that for what this movie looks like. And as
no one should ever have to lose their child one way or another.
Yeah.
That's thankfully nobody in my family has ever had anything like that. Like even in my extended family, but it's such emotional pain that it's almost indescribable. I know me, 21, some dumbass white boy who's never going to have kids will never go through this. But this year and I'm bringing up NASCAR, but it's about a driver, Chase Briscoe and his wife, shortly, like a day before or like the day of when the Xfinity Series came back to racing at Darlington in May, it was announced that his wife had a miscarriage. And when he had gotten out of the car, he wasn't happy that he won. He was there was so many emotions going through him, and it's like nobody should have to go through that pain once. And then a couple weeks before the season ended at Fenyx, a couple weeks ago, it was announced that his wife had a second miscarriage, and their relationship is very strong, and it's not necessarily like this movie, and nobody should ever have to go through the pain of losing a child, whether it be miscarriage, stillborn, anything like that, or complications after birth. Nobody should ever have to go through that pain.
I will say this. That reminded me of there was a very tragic incident with a former Ravens tight end, Todd Heap, who in their driveway, he had no idea where his daughter was, and apparently he had hit his daughter with his car, and that was just an extremely sorrowful time for him. And what was heartening about that is that the entire NFL reached out to him. All the teams, social media, a bunch of players reached out and expressed their support to him. And, losing a child in and of itself is something no one should have to go through. I agree, but it's a very difficult process. And I think that what this movie does is and we're talking about this much more than the other movies, but it really it emphasizes that the one who has to deal with it the most is the one who who lost the child. Like the mother is probably the one who is grieving the most. So yeah, that looks like a very emotional roller coaster of a movie, and not for the faint of heart, I will say, for when it comes out.
All right, well, we're gonna move on to the next trailer. Born a Champion. Mickey Kelly, and one of the first American black belt, is one of the first American black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, gets pulled away from everything he loves and into a unsanctioned MMA tournament. So,
first rule about Fight Club: you do not talk about Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club: you do not talk about Fight Club.
I've actually never seen the movie, but I do owe it to myself to see it.
I'm just gonna say this right now. If you plan on seeing Fight Club, do not take its message and incorporate it in your life. That's all I'm gonna say, because it's all fake.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, it's like a fever dream. But what I can say is that Matt Heafy, the vocalist and guitarist of Trivium, is involved in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And this, I'm like, it seems like from the trailer that the guy, he's doing this so that he can provide a better life for his kids and everything. Like, we've seen this story before, and it's kind of like, not a sob story, but like, they're doing the wrong thing, but for the right reason, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So, all right. Not much else to say with this one, Naka.
I mean, I've kind of seen this premise before. I can't remember where, but it's kind of just I guess.
All right.
Well, when in Rome, let them all talk.
Yes, a famous author goes on a cruise trip with her friends and nephew in an effort to find fun and happiness while she comes to terms with her troubled past. This actually looks interesting because I like the idea that that most of the film is probably going to take place on the cruise ship. So I'm personally very interested, but I kind of want to see what this is all going to be about, especially since you have Meryl Streep in the role. So, not too sure if this is Oscar bait because, Meryl Streep, I mean, you could put her in anything and she'll always get nominated for an Oscar, but not much for me to say regarding this particular premise, Naka Krüz.
And don't really have much else to add on that. So
it's just kind of there to me. I think that obviously and again, I looked at a top comment, said, excuse me, rip all the talented female actresses who aren't Meryl Streep, kind of thing, like who don't get recommended for Actress of the Year or whatever. I don't think this movie is gonna do it for her, but I do think it's I downed like a full bowl of chili just before the show. Give me a fucking break. You let them all talk. I think the title seems to hint at the voices of the character or the author being like, all these characters are based off of me, blah blah blah. And someone's like, oh, that's kind of pompous. It's like, yes, but also, I mean, yeah, it is kind of pompous. It's just kind of there. It's a Meryl Streep movie. I don't have anything against Meryl Streep, but I just kind of think that a movie just based entirely off of her acting is like, I don't know, there's really much there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to our next trailer. Chaos Walking. A young man must protect a mysterious woman in a dystopian world where all the females have disappeared. This is a weird trailer because I don't exactly know.
Here's the thing.
Not much is going on with Tom Holland's character, so I have like no idea. I'm also getting like, you know, certain vibes. Oh, she's the last woman in the world, so this has to be an interesting premise. So I don't really know what to say regarding it. So.
I know I do love Tom Holland and Mads Mikkelsen. I've watched quite a bit of was it Hannibal? Yeah, I've watched quite a bit of that show. Mads Mikkelsen, great actor. Tom Holland, also a great actor, great successor to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but this movie's kind of, it really showed what the premise relies on. It relies on the quote noise, which is the man's thoughts and everything. Noise to me also relied on the Mega Man DS games of like noise being like interference and like corruption, but it's not clear what the quote noise means here. It just means that the males are more easily detected, I guess. Interesting. I hope that, you know, Tom Holland does well. I do like Mads Mikkelsen too, but it might. Here's the thing. It's kind of the same vein, but it's not as bad as Darkest Minds. If that makes sense, you know.
And then as for you, Naka?
I mean, it's a very interesting kind of premise. I do remember, I can't remember what anime this was, but like, these three women from like a weird world where all of the men disappeared were transported to Earth, and somehow this guy comes along and like gets teleported to that other world and needs to be saved. It's a weird anime. I can't remember what it's called, and that's kind of like the visual that I got from this, but the opposite way, because if you think about it, if it's just one lady and everybody else is dudes, oh man, that's fucked up. And it's also fucked up if it's the other way around. But no, guys can't be in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's an interesting premise.
All right. Well.
I do think that I will say one thing: the visual effects did look pretty cool. As far as what the noise was.
And we have three more trailers that we need to talk about, with our first one being on the night of One Night in Miami. On the night of February 25th, 1964, in Miami, Cassius Clay joins Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X, and they discuss the responsibility of being a successful black man during the civil rights movement. This is a very interesting trailer. I had no idea that Muhammad Ali, of all places, decided to, you know, like, he knew Malcolm X, he knew these other two people. Like, that's crazy. Like, what?
Yeah,
what?
I think that
like
it's a crossover, definitely. But I will say I know this from, and Naka Milestone knows a little bit from football knowledge. But Jim Brown was probably the guy for the Cleveland Browns. He was their star running back. To put it in perspective of like who he was.
Okay, so this is a fictionalized meaning of these people. Oh, okay. So and it's based off the play of the same name.
Is it fiction? Is the plot fiction?
Fictionalized. So I don't really. Well, I'm pretty sure it is.
They probably did meet each other, but to tell you who Jim Brown was. Jim Brown was the running back at the Cleveland Browns. He was one of their star players. In the early days, Cassius Clay, you know who that is, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, you probably learned about him in school. The only
Cook.
one I didn't. Sam Cooke was the one I didn't know as much about, but
he's a soul American singer. He sang a lot of soul.
Yeah, I figured he was a singer. I put that together from the trailer. It does look very interesting. I've seen a bunch of great like civil rights kind of framed movies. Marshall, featuring the late Chadwick Boseman. Selma, featuring what's his name? David Oyelowo.
Okay. He was part of Selma, yeah.
Yeah, that and Marshall were great movies. Also, 42, also featuring the late Chadwick Boseman, about Jackie Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be a very cool like not slice of life. I don't know if that's diminutive, but like very of the time movie, like talking about what these figures may or may not have like thought of each other at the time, and like thought of current political status and everything. But I think it was one of the more interesting trailers from this coming attractions list, I will say.
All right. But as for you, Naka,
granted, this is probably just like it's a based off true events kind of movie / story, and specifically in a time where it's the civil rights movement kind of like arguably we could say that the past couple of years and going ahead with moving forward, it's kind of moving in another civil rights era if you think about it. So
right,
it's a period piece that also fits the time that we're in.
Considering that this is 1964, it really was the height of everything. Like where people are bitching about it now, but these popular athletes had a platform to be successful and deliver the message. And in 1964, people were thinking about this, but maybe it wasn't received the same way.
Right.
I will say also that Cassius Clay, also known as Muhammad Ali, who had a great... There's a great tribute song to him from Sepultura called Ali, A-L-I, from their album this year, Quadra. I think it really highlights... again, this might be cheesy, but like how the Modelo beer ads like talk about the fighting spirit and how like this chef who immigrated at the age of 18 from Guatemala as a dishwasher became an executive chef. Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali and became one of the greatest boxers in the world. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's a triumph of the human spirit, and it's really cool to see that.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to the, which is a very interesting, we have a very interesting notion here from Francis Ford Coppola. The Godfather, Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. Mario Puzo's The Godfather, Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone follows Michael Corleone, now in his 60s, as he seeks to free his family from crime and find a suitable successor to his empire. So with this film, I think this is a director's cut, I want to say, of how the director wanted the film to be before it ever got a theatrical release, because everyone says that the first two Godfathers are literally like godsends of
like the
of
Godfather
art.
1, fantastic movie. Godfather 2, somehow an even better movie.
Yes, and then with Godfather 3, it's like
it insists upon itself.
I'd never seen Godfather 3. I've seen the first one. I've not seen the second one, but this kind of it's directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It's like his own admitted like alternate ending, I guess.
And the only time you ever hear of Coppola is her daughter or his son Roman. So this is something that is very interesting to say the least. So I can only hope that something goes well here, but I'm pretty sure it's just, it's just going to be one of those films where I hope that people will like it, because people say that the first two films are legendary classics. If anyone gets the chance to take a look at it, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the last film, and I'm pretty sure the furry community, nonetheless, gave it a glance over. So
Nope.
we're gonna go ahead and look at it. Tom and Jerry.
Blame the human actors.
A hotel employee hires a famous cat to get rid of a famous mouse that outsmarts him every step of the way. So, Krüz, what do you have to say?
Fuck off. This movie doesn't need to be made.
It's like, what?
Okay, well, other than that,
Stop
to the woman hiring her, have you learned nothing? Did you have no childhood? Jerry always wins, you idiot! But also, the last I think movie I saw, Tom and Jerry was like the Magic Ring or something. But like this, it's kind of like the immediate turn off for me was that the trailer was on YouTube Kids mode, which for some inexplicable reason disables mini player, which is when you like swipe down and like are looking for another video, it just stops playing. I'm like, why? Are kids going to get distracted? Are you trying to cure ADHD? Fucking moron. That's not how that works. But anyway, the movie itself doesn't look bad, but it's just like some of the human actors is just like a little
So, Naka, other than nope, don't want to see it, like, what is your first thoughts seeing this?
Why? Just why?
Because Hollywood, and they want
cause
money,
reasons.
And you know, that's just who they are.
As somebody who grew up with Tom and Jerry, pretty much watching it every goddamn day as a kid.
Did you like Tom and Jerry?
Fuck yeah, I did, because it was just violence. It was just violence.
It was the epitome of slapstick comedy in cartoon form. Yes. And I think that I do appreciate that they did in the trailer some highlight that a little bit with like at least the one part where Tom is getting like slapped between the cars, like blah, 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 blah. Like all that. You know, that's what they thrive on. It's like very simple slapstick comedy of like getting foiled for traps getting foiled and all that shit. The movie itself, I don't really know. I mean, here's the thing. People who enjoy Tom and Jerry, like myself, yeah, I do see this as kind of unnecessary, but it doesn't bother me. In a way, it's like how I felt about Scoob, the Scooby-Doo movie, where they made the extreme error of making Scooby-Doo not only pronounce as R's, which is very confusing, but yeah, this is just like, yeah, sure, it's going to be probably a successful movie. Kids are going to love it, and I hope that people will enjoy Tom and Jerry's antics from this movie. But I will always favor the original cartoons over this.
Yeah, let's see. I'm just taking a look at like the Wikipedia. So this isn't like the first, like there've been theatrical shorts of Tom and Jerry, including Spike and Tyke. The first Tom and Jerry, like Tom and Jerry the movie, came out in 1992. So this is not Tom and Jerry's first box office outing. Let's see. There's the television series, all kind of different ones. Television specials. Direct-to-video films. So there's a lot of these. There's The Magic Ring, Blast Off to Mars, The Fast and the Furry. I'm not kidding, that's what it's called.
I think the first two that you mentioned were the ones I saw. I remember I think they went to the moon, but I do remember the Magic Ring one.
Shiren.
I like the Magic Ring.
It was good, but weird.
A Nutcracker Tale, The Wizard of Oz, Robin Hood and His Merry Mouse, Giant Adventure, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Lost Dragon, don't know what that one's about, Spy Quest, because Back to Oz, and then Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This has Tom and Jerry's had a lot of unfortunate cash cows, but what can you do?
I mean, you can't really
Sure.
release it as a cartoon anymore, so they have to figure out some way to make Tom and Jerry work at the very
Bullshit.
least. Well, I mean, then again, you know,
Anyway,
but anyway, that is it. That is our that is our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am still watching Animaniacs, and I still have to watch the latest episode of The Mandalorian, which I didn't watch because I was just doing all this. So in case you guys forgot, I'm just going to say this right now. We are going to be taking a break for next week. We are not going to be returning until December 6th, I believe, since we're getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, December 6th. That's about right.
Yeah,
that is right.
So,
December 6th.
Yeah. So, and I'm just gonna let you guys know out there, and I have to, and I do need to bring this up because this is very important. Please reach out to the people who are not able to come. It's going to be a very lonely time this year, and it's more than likely going to happen during Christmas as well. It's very, very, like I said, it's very, very disappointing, and please reach out to the people who can't be with you. And if you're going to have Thanksgiving with your immediate family, be safe. But for the love of God, I'm just going to say this right now, and it's going to be a controversial statement. Please, for the love of God, do not fly anywhere to go for Thanksgiving just so that you can be happy. I personally think it's very selfish, in case, like I said, I believe it is very selfish, and yeah. So
I think it's controversial because it seems to have been proven that like when you're flying, even if you're distance from people, that you have circulated air in the cabin, so that that's a problem in and of itself. My family was talking about driving down to Florida, but we're not going to do that this year because of course we would be visiting my grandmother, and obviously that would be a problem if any of us were sick, so we're not going to do that. Instead, my sister is just coming up from North Carolina. We're going to have our own regular family Thanksgiving. But yes, I will say do reach out to the people who can't be with you, because this holiday season is definitely going to be very different. But there's no reason that you should not reach out to them and make sure that you express your love to them and everything.
Yeah. And
if you are getting together, keep your gathering small. Make sure everybody has been safe. People have to go out and go grocery shopping, and like that's the only reason that people or if they're like me, they're students going to school. Like that's because I can't necessarily super quarantine for 2 weeks, or else I'd miss 2 weeks of class. I can't go and visit my grandparents this Thanksgiving, but thankfully, by the time that this winter, the fall quarter is over for me, I will begin quarantining, and then I will, I can go see my grandparents again because they're at risk. But if you are having people over, you're going somewhere, make sure that you have been safe the past, I'd say, week before. Just be safe. Make sure that you're not sick. If you're feeling any sort of sickness, stay home. Try, go out, get fresh air, because people do need fresh air and they do need exercise. And I don't know. Just stay safe out there, guys. That's all we can ask. You already know the drill. I don't need to drill it into your head 50 times. So
yeah.
On that note, everybody,
we're going to accept that the holidays are going to be different, but yes, we hope that you have a great Thanksgiving and enjoy whatever celebration you end up doing for Thanksgiving, and also for Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever the hell you celebrate. Just hope you be safe and enjoy it the best you can.
Yeah, and do yourself a favor, check up on your friends too, because not everyone is going to be able to go anywhere this Thanksgiving around. So, you were saying, Naka?
Just be safe, check in on your loved ones, and just try and have fun. I get that it's hard for a lot of people, but there's little things that you can do that you can have fun with. Just figure something out and just try and keep in mind that all this shit's still going on. However, you can keep yourself distracted from it and not let it control you. And that's easier said than done for a lot of people, but just finding those little things, they'll help you out. And on that note, that is our show for this week and also next week. We will be back on December the 6th. Everybody, take care. Check in on your loved ones. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And enjoy everything that you can. We will see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye, friends. Love you all.